Pat, everybody. Welcome to BO Boys for Thursday, April 27th. F it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. And Clayton, this is not the weekend preview episode of the BO Boys. And people right now heard me say that and they're like, what are you talking about? It's Friday morning, it's Thursday night, it's a weekend. This is the summer 2023 preview episode. And because it's a seasonal preview episode, there's one guest that we had to have, and that is Jeff Bock of Exhibitor Relations Co., fresh from CinemaCon, is here. Jeff, welcome to the BO Boys Summer Movie Preview episode.
Guys, it is an honor, as always, to kick off the summer season, which, as we all know, is the first weekend of May through that Labor Day weekend, which is usually in September, guys. And it's going from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 to the Threequalizer. Yes, that's right. Sony has officially retitled it the Threequalizer. I convinced them at CinemaCon that that's the way to go. They messed up with the Sequelizer. They're going to turn it into the Threequalizer. You heard it here first, guys.
Wow, breaking news immediately. And yeah, this is the summer 2020 threequel summer right here. The summer of the threequels, starting with Guardians all the way to Threequalizer. This is huge. So, Jeff, thank you for joining us on this huge episode. I remember we did this last year, summer review preview episode, and I'm not going to go check the records, but I'm all pretty sure we all predicted Top Gun Maverick would be one of the biggest movies of all time, would crack the top 6 of domestic earners all time, make over $1 billion. We all
absolutely we did. Clayton,
yeah.
I know did for sure.
Yeah, I know for sure I did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's time for us to get all of our predictions correct again, and no one will ever listen back a year from now and check, which is great.
So don't worry. And the great thing about box office predicting, really, it's like if you mess up one week, next week you are golden. You know, that's the beauty of the box office game. The box office stench.
Clean slate every week. So, Jeff, you are back from CinemaCon. You were in Vegas for the week. So before we get into our summer movie, tell us what are some of the big takeaways? What did you see at CinemaCon? Did anything open your eyes, change your mind, change your heart this week?
Well, hanging out with Ezra Miller will do that to you. You know, I can't say that on the record, so just pretend that's off the record that he was there. Flash, as you guys know, the Flash played there in its entirety. A couple of visual effects still need to be fixed. There was no tag on the film. But other than that, in my mind, I know what the DC universe is about now. I get it. I got it. And guess what, guys? I'm here to say, and before I say this, though, remember, I'm 51% hype because I was at the epicenter of cinema hype for 4 days, you guys. And I'm still feeding. It's still feeding off of me. You know, I'm usually only about 22% hype. Right now, I'm 51%, guys. So when I say the Flash was really freaking good, you believe about 25% of that. But right now, I'm still saying it. I saw it, I think, Tuesday, and I'm kind of still digging it, you guys. The Batmans that show up, you know, I'm not going to give anything away, but everybody's who loves the Batman is gonna love this film, and that's big, guys. It's big, and it put it into that top 10 conversation for the summer for me after seeing it. I'm like, okay, listen, Marvel had their multiverse film, DC has theirs, and guess what? There can be 2 multiverse films, and it's gonna work. And I think this thing's gonna work. And Ezra actually upstages Michael Keaton. Guys, I'm here to say it. He made a lot of people cry in the audience, and that's hard to do, knowing what he's going up against.
Ezra's made a lot of people cry these last few years, but you're saying in an emotional, cinematic way. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Now, are you saying that, because I think Ezra goes by they at this point, they were not physically there, right? They just 2 of them on screen, but they were not there, right?
Yeah, and I'm not going to even say it was 2 of them on screen. Well, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, this is incredible.
Listen, I'm just going to say that Ezra's presence was there. They was behind the screen. I could tell, and you could just feel the Ezra vibe was in Vegas. Here's the thing, guys. If Warner Brothers, after all of that crap that went on with Ezra is still behind this film. The president of Warner Brothers calling it the best film he's ever seen. James Gunn calling it one of his favorite superhero films. Yes, they're obviously paid to say that, right? But I'm not paid by Warner Brothers. I mean, They gave me a few things. Maybe I was invited to a special room. But listen, guys, that wore off quickly, okay? And I'm here to say it's freaking good. In terms of a DC film and what you expect, it delivers, guys, in a way that I haven't felt a DC film has in a long time. It's funny, it's smart, it's humorous, it's all the things you want. Yeah, it does fan service, but it's all the things that you want from a superhero film. It felt like there's a reason that Warner Brothers showed this in the same way that Paramount showed Top Gun Maverick last summer, because they 100% believe in it and they know they have a good product.
Wow. Well, Tom Cruise has gone on record as saying that he loves The Flash. Yeah. Right. And he's a guy who saved the theatrical business. We all know this. Steven Spielberg has said it. And that trailer, we got a second Flash trailer. And listen, I'm no superhero fan. I mean, I do think, the Michael Keaton Batman was such a huge part of my childhood. I mean, he is my Batman. Mm-hmm. And they really lean into him in this new trailer. And I'm telling you what, if I wasn't so down on superhero movies in general, I would really be high on this. Like, I just am fatigued when it comes to superheroes. So that worries me that it's a flagging sort of genre of movie, but this may be one of the last big blockbusters that superheroes will have as a genre, like huge blockbusters.
Yeah, Clayton, I think you're going to want to bring your inner child to go see this, because Keaton, he is the Batman we all deserve. And we get it. We get full Batman. It's not a cameo. It's a co-starring role, and he kicks major ass in exactly the way you want to see him kick ass in this film, and he's funny. He's Michael freaking Keaton as Batman, you guys.
So he gets nuts. He gets nuts.
He gets totally nuts.
He gets nuts.
And we
he says it in the trailer. You just watched the trailer and you must not have gotten that part, but he says, "Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." He says it in the trailer. Yeah. We all want to get nuts with Michael Keaton.
And he does. He kicks he kicks Ezra's ass a couple times. I mean, it's great.
Which, I mean, is needed. I mean,
no, exactly. And I think that's what some people will go to see this film for.
Yeah, they need a little bit of stern, this is a stern punishment in their life, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as we head into the summer season, I mean, it's been a decade of movies dominated by superhero movies. And that has obviously waned in these last few years. I would say big time in the past year, where you've had outright bombs from Black Adam, even though The Rock checked with the financiers and said it was profitable. We all know they were wrong. And, you've had underperformers from Marvel. Shazam was a bomb. Ant-Man, Quantumania, Eternals, but recently some big underperformers. So this summer you've got Guardians, you've got The Flash. I mean, I think we could talk about it. I think we all agree Blue Beetle is kind of a toss-off weird movie that I don't even think DC is counting on. But I could be wrong. Have you heard anything good about Blue Beetle?
We saw about 15 minutes of footage, like of every other film, and I'll tell you, and they brought the Karate Kid guy out, I don't even know. I don't know what his name is. Sorry, guys. But he was out there doing his thing. To be honest, it looks like an HBO Max film. That's what it looks like. And that's probably how it was conceived. They didn't really mention a budget, but it looks like, honestly, if it costs more than 50 million, I'd be surprised. It just, it's just a very small film, but obviously James Gunn was pounding into this saying it's great. And, you got the Latino angle and there's a lot of people, rooting for this film. But to be honest, if I have to break it down, I'm like, yeah, look at that release date, mid-August. You know what kind of films go there. I know what kind of films go there. That's not like a stamp of confidence from Warner Brothers releasing it in middle of August when kids go back to school. But I guess you could say, as an optimist, you can say, and like I said, I'm still 51% hype. As an optimist, you could say, well, it could have a long runway as it heads into September. But I heard you guys talking about September, and it's pretty stacked with sequels, so it's going to get tough.
Yeah, it's a good sign though, comparing this summer to last summer, that even something like Blue Beetle, which I don't think any of us are expecting much from, is still a bigger deal than what we were getting last August. You look at August 2022, and it's basically Beast and 3,000 Years of Longing, and just nothing coming out for them. Basically, from Bullet Train on, there was just months of just nothing. So Blue Beetle, if that opens to $17 million or 20, that's at least better than we've had in the last 2 summers.
And I don't think you can sleep on the angle of the Hispanic and Latino
Yeah.
demo who show up for movies. They go to films. They go to the theater. And if this is something that entices them, they'll go see it. And that is a benefit to, the theatrical business, and also to like DC in general.
Yep.
Yeah, and I will say this, the focus of Blue Beetle is on the family. It's not just, how superhero origin stories are usually one man alone in the corner having to figure it out, his life. It's all about him. This really is about the Hispanic Latino family and helping him become Blue Beetle. So they took a different angle, as you would have to at this point, right? We can't just keep seeing these origin stories where they go at it alone. So that is, you're right, that's an interesting angle. But again, it's kind of cheesy. You know what I mean? In a Power Rangers sort of way.
Yeah, it does smack of Power Rangers, which we know never got a sequel to that.
Even though it opened at 40 million. I mean, it had a decent opening for a Lionsgate film.
So staying on the superhero movies, it's Guardians, it's The Flash. You've seen The Flash. You're obviously at 51% hype. That means, Jeff, you are majority hype right now.
Yeah. And I'm never majority hype.
Half man, half hype.
Yeah. And I'm, 49% man. Let's be honest, guys.
Hype controls the voting shares right now when it comes to Jeff. So is there a chance that of those two movies, The Flash will be the bigger earner this summer? What are you feeling on Guardians 3? Obviously, the tracking there's been tracking reports that are lower than what people would have wanted, that it's tracking lower than Guardians 2. Obviously, Marvel has a little bit of a reputation problem right now, coming off of Quantumania and, Jonathan Majors news and just people's fatigue with all those shows. Is there a chance The Flash is bigger than Guardians 3? I'm throwing that out there.
I mean, Jeff, I'll let you talk in a second, but I'll say Flash is going to be bigger.
Wow.
I think it is.
That's big.
I think it is.
And you're not wrong, I think, Clayton. I'm going to jump on this one too. Listen, I know the last Guardians did 863 million worldwide. Not off the top of my head, but because I wrote it down. And it made 389 million domestic, guys.
Yep.
And that's big. That's big, right? We know that. But it's also not in the middle of anything important. Phase 4, phase 5, nobody knows what phase we're in. It's not important. Everything's just kind of running off the conveyor belt right now for Marvel until something really good comes along. And as nice as it'll be to close out this trilogy and say goodbye to James Gunn. Bye, James. Have fun at DC. Let's get that Marvel DC crossover going. And maybe that'll happen. But you're right. This is more of a Batman film than a Flash film. I mean, that's how they advertise it. That's how they had to advertise it. And they deliver that. They deliver even more. I can't remember what's in the previews, so I'm not going to say anything, but there's a lot more people in here than you expect to be in here in this Flash film. So it is more like a Justice League film, and the one that you wanted. And that word of mouth, I think, is going to propel this. It does open against Pixar's Elemental. So it'll be interesting because I know Elemental is going to have the IMAX screens, but the Flash says they're going to be in IMAX too. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Build more IMAX. We've been beating that drum for years now.
Oh God. And they were there. IMAX was there in force. They want that to happen. Everybody was talking about IMAX at CinemaCon. But the reality is Flash and Elemental are going to have to share those screens, I think. But I think word of mouth on the Flash, and because people don't want these surprises ruined, and there's a lot of freaking surprises in this one. The last 15 minutes is going to blow people's minds. So the thing is, everybody's going to want to see that opening weekend because you don't want that ruined. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I could see a month later, and none of the spoilers are going to affect me or most people. So that's Clayton's right. I think the Flash comes in with more heat. and there's been no Ezra sightings, and that's a good thing. So everything's going according to plan for Warner Brothers right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Keep
I mean,
Ezra away. Keep Ezra
yeah.
away.
I'm looking at some recent comp numbers. I mean, the Batman, the Robert Pattinson version from last year did 369 million domestic. I feel like the way you're talking about the Flash and the fact that it's a summer movie, you would think that that is in play and possibly more. So we're talking, could the Flash be a 400, 450, maybe $500 million domestic? And then on the other side, you look at Guardians 3, the second movie made 389. Thor Love and Thunder last summer made 343. I mean, my prediction is Guardians 3 could do under 300. Is that possible? Is Marvel fatigue that real where this Guardians movie tops out, between 280 and 320?
Well, guys, Disney did not bring the force of Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt wasn't there. None of the Guardians people were there hyping this machine.
Yeah.
And James Gunn only showed up on screen because, of course, he's filming Superman right now. So
right.
He was there and trying to hype it up. So it's weird. This was the most underhyped show of all Disney's films, and it's kicking off the summer. That's weird to me. It's really weird. And why not show the whole goddamn thing too while we're there? You got us sitting there and you show the Boogeyman instead of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is already finished. Don't you want us to hype it? Don't you want theaters to get excited? It didn't make any sense that they didn't show that or The Little Mermaid or Indy 5. Disney had a great chance to show something, and they chose to show the Boogeyman. Are you freaking kidding me, Disney? They know there's a problem. They laid off a whole bunch of people last week. There's problems at Disney, guy. There's problems.
Yeah. And with Guardians, I think you nailed it, where it feels like it's a movie where everyone has moved on before it even comes out. James Gunn has moved on. Chris Pratt possibly is not going to do much promotion for this. Dave Bautista has bad mouth. The idea of being in these anymore. He's moved on. He's Dune too. He's looking for that Oscar nom. So I don't see the stars. They did their Christmas special, and I think for them that was the finale for them. It doesn't feel like Volume 3 is a big deal for any of the people involved with this movie.
Well, Pratt has been everywhere, but he's only talked about Mario. I mean, that's the thing, is that the full court press for Mario took up all of his time, and this is an afterthought for him because, like you said, he's checked out. He's out of there, and he's like, you know what? Everybody was always saying I was the worst Chris. Well, guess what? I'm out. I'm out of that conversation now. Those other Chris's can do whatever they want with Marvel. I'm done. I got Mario movies until the day I die.
Absolutely. That's a huge one-up for him. He worked the turtle with that one. Guys, here's the thing. Is Chris Pine the number one Chris in your guys' minds now?
I mean,
I think, in my heart, in the box office, definitely not at the box, but in my heart for sure. Heart.
Yeah, me too. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, but you know what? Listen, as an Italian American, I went into it with some reservations, and Chris Pratt did my people proud with Mario. So I'm higher on Chris Pratt, but I agree. He's Mario. He doesn't care about Star-Lord anymore. Mario's his character. That's the one he's doing movies with for the next 10 years. So Guardians, are we starting to feel like, obviously, this is going to be a huge hit. This isn't a Quantumania situation, but I think we're all feeling like this will be a low 300s domestic earner. And it's going to open at like 125. Like, that does feel right, the lower estimations.
What did Thor end up doing?
So Thor ended up doing 343 domestic. And I think Guardians will do less, but not much. I do think low 300s make sense for Guardians. I can't imagine this being like it's going to end up 250.
I'm going to go 350 only because of it's where it's released. It's got almost a month. It's only got Fast X and Little Mermaid. So it's still going to plow into a little bit into Memorial Day weekend. But that's the only reason. If it had dropped in late July, I agree. It would hit 320, but I'm going to just give it the benefit of the doubt. And the Disney dollars that go along with that double feature with Little Mermaid are going to boost it something fierce. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So
but still that's still not a great showing. That's still ending on a downturn.
Yes. I mean, I just feel like Marvel's got its perception issues right now, and that's going to hurt Guardians a little bit. So let's talk about, you brought it up, the next big movie coming up after Guardians, or one of the big ones early in the summer, is the Little Mermaid remake. And to me, I don't care what people say about how this looks. Special effects don't look good. I don't know why they remaking it. To me, all of these big Disney remakes of the late 80s, early 90s, golden era, revival era, they've all been huge hits. Lion King was a huge hit. Beauty and the Beast was a huge hit. The Will Smith Aladdin, I said his name, Will Smith Aladdin, huge hit, huge leggy hit in the summer of 2019.
It's a Billy. It's a Billy, you guys.
It's a Billy. Yeah.
Don't say, we can't say Will Smith's name 3 times in a row or he'll show up and slap you. Did you know that?
I'd love for that. I mean, that would be the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life. If Will Smith magically appeared.
It's like Bloody Mary. It's like Bloody Mary. You can't
imagine
say
the
name
YouTube
3 times in a row.
hits you guys have. I mean, if Will Smith showed up on this, come on.
Oh, it would be for sure the title of this episode. We would title it all caps, Will Smith slaps with a Z the BO Boys and Jeff Bock. That would be huge.
I think we would all appreciate that.
So, Jeff or Clayton, what are your thoughts on this Little Mermaid remake? We got Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. Again, to me, I'm like, this Beauty and the Beast. This is Beauty and the Beast all over again. And Little Mermaid, to me, is the biggest of that era of movies. So, does anyone have any disagreement here that this has any reason to, quote unquote, underperform?
I want to hear Clayton's first before I go, because I want to.
No,
I'm hoping.
There's so much Twitter mishigash about this movie, and it means nothing, because this is a movie for kids. This is a movie that kids will go see, and they're not going to be listening to Twitter, and they're not going to be hearing about how it's shot murky and everything looks like it's, in the shadows and stuff. We don't know what the actual movie is going to look like on the big screen. And like you said, Pat, these are cherished classics. They're going to be seen by a ton of people and then probably forgotten. Like, I mean, Beauty and the Beast was one of the biggest earners ever, and nobody ever talks about that movie. But you know what? Little kids watch it over and over and over again. And that's what Little Mermaid is. It's not supposed to stand the test of time as this like classic bit of filmmaking. It's just another way to take IP and exploit it, and it works. It hasn't not worked yet, because they haven't reached the point where now they're doing like Hunchback,
Hercules,
right?
Or
Hercules, right? But I mean, Mulan was a bomb, but that was for different that release was just kind of bungled. But otherwise, this is, like you said, in that classic run of Disney, it is a can't miss. It's a can't miss.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement here. This is Mermaid McNuggets. This goes down easy for people. So easy. It's delicious. The merchandising is going to be off the chain. We know that. And the Lion King, listen, the Lion King was almost a shot-by-shot remake, right? And it still is a Billy, guys. It's an easy Billy.
Yeah.
And everybody hates that film apparently now. And they're making a sequel to that. So, and that'll make a Billy, guys. So you're right. Twitter is just lies, and more lies when it comes to box office performance, except for us, obviously. But listen, this thing is probably, it's probably has the best chance worldwide of all the films this summer to hit a Billy. I'm going to say it's my number 1 film worldwide of the year in terms of the summer, guys. The Little Mermaid is going to kick all of these films' asses.
Wow.
So number one
worldwide. I'm not going to say that it wins domestic, but it's going to be close. But worldwide, Little Mermaid is going to kick all those little films' asses.
Beauty and the Beast 2017 did 500 million domestic, did another 700 worldwide. So there is I mean, listen, Little Mermaid could easily do 500 domestic. The only thing that could have stopped this Little Mermaid movie at the box office is that Melissa McCarthy's in this movie. And if it had been written and directed by her husband, Ben Falcone, like all of her movies have been these last 4 or 5 years, then I would say, yes, Little Mermaid will be a gigantic bomb and possibly a streaming series. But looking at the credits, Ben Falcone has nothing to do with the Little Mermaid remake. So Melissa McCarthy is finally going to have a hit again.
And CinemaCon did show pieces of this film. And guess who showed up? Melissa McCarthy singing her little song. And that's actually the 5 minutes that they showed is her song, Ursula's big song.
Great.
And I have to say, she was kind of weak in it. But the Little Mermaid herself was very good. People were singing along. The audiences were singing along. The theater. I mean, listen, you know who goes to CinemaCon, right? It is theater chains. It is everybody who works at theaters across not just America and Canada, but the world. There's a huge international presence there. They love this thing. They ate it up. And I thought it was, again, it's like those other films that made $1 billion. It's all right. But they ate it up, this thing. And when I saw that reaction, I'm like, yep, this is how the rest of the world is going to react to this film. They just want to see it because they love those songs. Those songs are earworms. Yep. That kicked off a golden age of musicals for Disney. It was The Little Mermaid, then it was Beauty and the Beast, and then The Lion King, or something like that.
Aladdin was in there.
Aladdin was in there. But yeah, those are the four. Those are the big four, guys.
Yep.
And yeah, I know they're doing Lilo and Stitch, and that's great. And Moana, I think, is going to be a live action as well. And those will do okay, but nothing like these four. These four, it's going to hit a Billy, guys, because they all hit a Billy.
Yes.
So do you think, now I know we're talking about summer, but we have to mention the what is it, 8,000-pound gorilla or whatever they say, and in this case the Donkey Kong, but more so Mario, because isn't Donkey Kong in that anyway?
Yes,
it's a long way of
Clayton,
saying
you need to see that movie. Yes,
I do not. Okay, really quick though, Jeff Bock, have you at all known about this controversy about Pat wanting to force me to see Mario Brothers movie because it's the biggest movie, and me saying I don't need to because I'm a box office pundit, therefore I don't have to see the movies. I only need to know about them. Do I have to see this movie? Because is it going to be the biggest movie of the year? One question. And then the second question, follow up, does Clayton, me, the B.O. Boy Clayton, have to see this movie in order to be able to report on it?
Let me ask you this. How much time did you invest your childhood in playing Super Mario Brothers? Any of the games, any of the iterations?
I'll be honest with you, not much. I didn't have Nintendo as a kid. I would go over to my friend's house, but we'd be playing ice hockey. We'd be playing, I would not be playing Mario. The most I did was Mario Kart on 64. I played a lot of that in high school.
Okay. And how much time did you dedicate to like Sonic the Hedgehog or Sega? Any time?
I had a Game Gear, so I played a lot of it.
Did you watch Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
I don't like where this is going.
Well, I'm just saying.
I did. I saw both the Sonic movies, but that was as a civilian. That was as a civilian. That was not to report on it.
And did you see John Leguizamo's classic original Super Mario Brothers movie?
I might have stumbled upon it on cable. I mean, I did watch The Pest a lot, though, I will say.
Okay, then I mean, I gotta. Yes, you have to go see this film. It's 93 minutes of your life. That's it. It is so short.
That's it.
It is so short. And I think even though,
Jeff, if you knew my medical problems, you wouldn't be talking about 90 minutes lightly here.
Well, okay, but you know how quickly Universal loves to stream these things, so it'll be available for digital download. It's probably already there. It might be this week, after this weekend. So,
well,
you don't have to go to the theater. I think you can. I think
Pat thinks I do. Can I watch it at home? Pat.
But if you do, you have to pay $20. I think that's the key.
Yes, you can. If you wire me $20, you could watch it on Peacock.
Hey, you! I think Jeff was saying I do premium PVOD. Now, so it's okay. So Jeff is saying I need to see it. We're still continuing this conversation. We're going to have to ask Scott Mendelson as well.
And yes, I can't see another film topping it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so big.
And you look at the runway it still has. Guys, when does the next cartoon? When does the next animated film open? Tell me, please.
I mean,
I don't know.
Obviously, Guardians will take some action from Mario, because kids are going to go see that movie. It's basically a kids' movie too. So I'm going to throw out a movie that, as we're talking about what could be the biggest movies of the summer, maybe this next one goes nuts and ends up being the biggest movie of the year. You guys tell me. Last year, other than Avatar: Way of Water, the big giant movie of the year was, of course, Top Gun: Maverick. This year, we've got Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's the newest Mission Impossible film. It opens the end of May. Could this possibly be the biggest movie this summer? Will it get a Maverick bump and take these Mission Impossible movies up to a new level? So that's a theory that's out there, because obviously the Mission Impossible movies in the past have not been billion-dollar baby level. They haven't been superhero level, but now Cruise is bigger than ever. So, Jeff, could the new Mission Impossible movie, Dead Reckoning Part 1, be the biggest movie of the summer?
Before I went to CinemaCon, I would have said yes. After going to CinemaCon, and even though I'm still 51% hype right now, and being forced to sit through 20 minutes of an action sequence in the middle of the film, just a random action sequence, I'm going to say no, it doesn't get that boost. Only because, like, I'm sorry, Tom Cruise looks tired. He looks old. He looks like he had a lot of gray covered up, in this film. I'm not to say that he's not the man like he was, but think about when Maverick was filmed, like 15 years ago, and then they had all that,
Right. I mean, it was delayed.
Yeah, it was delayed a long time, and like it's exactly like every other Mission Impossible movie in that, at least the 15 minutes that I saw, in that after the film is done, you're like, I think that was pretty good. But then a week goes by and you're like, I have no idea what I saw. There was a lot of action and quick cuts and I'm not sure what happened. And that's, I'm already feeling that from this chase scene. I'm just like, yeah, lots of guns, lots of car crashing, lots of motorcycles, but it doesn't have that lasting effect that Top Gun did. And Top Gun, as we know, they were like 40% less product in theaters last summer, you guys. So one of these films had to latch on to audience and stay with them. And of course, it was this massive nostalgia grab. And people love that character. They've loved it since the 80s. They haven't stopped loving it. Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You love Maverick. It's just not the same with Ethan. He's colder. And that kind of comes off on the screen, and it's always been true. I mean, tell me one plot from one of the Mission Impossible films that you even remember. Go.
I remember the plot of him fighting Superman in a bathroom.
Yeah,
but I guess that's not a plot. That's a scene.
Yeah,
that's
a sequence. Yeah, and that's what we saw.
It's a sequence.
And listen, they've admitted, Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie admitted, how we make these films? We dream up these awesome action sequences and we link the dramatic tension together. They have admitted it, you guys. It wasn't like
MacGuffins.
Yeah, it is. And it's not like Maverick where they actually worked on the story and connected it to the tissue of the first one. And it just made people cry, you guys. Right. You all cried. We all cried because of the oil. The oil that was lathered on them playing football. It was amazing. And
we all cried when they played two-way football.
Oh God, I still think about that scene, you guys.
The leaks. I mean, listen, leaks are popping up all over the place.
Yeah, of course they are. Beach football.
I heard they were going to place the XFL next season with two-way football,
oily two-way football. Yeah,
it's got to be oily. The oil is assumed.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you here, Jeff, because the emotional resonance that Top Gun had, Maverick had, plus the ultimate luck in the release date. And like it hit all these major holidays perfectly, and there was nothing else to fight it. It really maximized IMAX and PLFs. None of the, as you said, Pat, none of the Mission Impossible movies have broke $1 billion. The highest one internationally worldwide was Fallout, which was the latest one.
Yep, which is a good sign.
787. And worldwide, every one of the movies, except for 3, made more than the last one, right?
Yep.
And so there will be an uptick in business, definitely, because Tom Cruise is hotter than he's ever been at 60 years old. The man is a huge movie star. Now, is that enough to get this movie to $1 billion worldwide? I mean, maybe. But I think there's no chance this is the biggest movie domestically or internationally or worldwide of the summer. I just don't give it a chance at all. It's too, I mean, because it's a part one. And also, there's so much mythology here. I mean, Maverick was so easy because it's like, did you see the first movie? Of course you did.
Yeah.
Or at least you know it from all the parodies that you've seen, right? And then now here's him later, and there's an emotional resonance there. It had hot young stars in it. Now, this movie just feels like another Mission Impossible movie, which they're great. They're great. We love them. We want to see him do these stunts and almost kill himself, but it's not enough to put it at the top. Not by any stretch.
I'll throw this out then. The last Mission Impossible Fallout was actually the biggest domestic earner of the series at $220 million. Do we think that the new one, because of the Maverick bump, because Cruise is bigger than ever, could Dead Reckoning Part 1 get to 300 million domestic? Does that feel plausible? I mean, because I would put it there. I do think this is going to get a significant bump over any previous Mission Impossible. He's just hotter than ever. They're really pushing this movie. It does have the Memorial weekend release date, right? This is
it's July 14th.
Oh,
guys,
right.
Really.
Update.
Right.
July 12th. July 12th.
It's opening on a Wednesday.
Up to Wednesday. They announced this at CinemaCon. That's great for them because they need more time on the IMAX. The other problem, guys, and we talk about this a lot, right? Barbie and Oppenheimer opened the week after on the 21st. Oppenheimer was filmed entirely in IMAX, guys. Guess who's getting those screens? Oppenheimer. So Mission Impossible has about 10 days on IMAX screens, and that's it, guys. It's done.
That's not enough.
No, it's not
enough.
I mean, Jeff, do you think there's any chance this makes less than the other ones? I mean, to me, it's got to get the Maverick bump. Do we?
Yes,
what
I
do
agree.
you think the Maverick bump is worth? Is it?
I think
worth
that Maverick bump
50%?
is worth more. I think it's worth more internationally. He's always been a huge star internationally. So yeah, this goes over 800. It's the first one to go over 800. Maybe it gets close to 900. You know, if all works out. Of course, Russia's not open to it. I don't know about China being open to it, and I don't even know exactly how much these films made in those countries, but I'm sure it's pretty significant, honestly. And so I think that's a factor too about getting to 900, but certainly not a Billy, and certainly not because it's going to have to face it, depending on how good Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is, because that opens, basically over the 4th of July weekend, right? So it's going to have,
it opens the 30th.
Yeah, so it's going to have.
We'll get to that one in a bit.
And a half to, and if it's strong, that's going to also eat into Mission Impossible. And then, like we said, it only has 10 days on the PLF screens, so that's an issue.
All right. Well, let's get to the movies that you just mentioned that come right after Mission Impossible. It is kind of one of the big, maybe the big storyline of summer 2023 is the July 21st date, Oppenheimer versus Barbie. So I'm going to ask a few things. First of all, is this a blessing for both these movies that they're opening on the same day, and it's become this story of people talking about these two movies opening on the same day? And then also, who's going to win? Which of these will be the bigger movie? I'm going to throw out there right now, I think it's Barbie and a walk. But Jeff, let's go to you. You've been to CinemaCon. Was there any new news about either of these movies? Any new footage? Anything catch fire there? What's your Barbie Oppenheimer feeling as of today?
I was feeling big about both of these films going into CinemaCon. And at 51% hype, I'm probably like 75% hype on both of these films after seeing what I saw. I saw a lot of Oppenheimer. Christopher freaking Nolan was there, you guys. And when Nolan's there, you listen, you hang on every word. And he talks about cinema and his love for it, his passion and his love of IMAX. And you just sit there and go, I want to hang out with this man. I want to do things to this man, like have a drink, like buy him a drink,
Yes.
Were you able to hear him, or was his mic mixed the way that his movies are?
No, yeah, it was definitely coming from a lot of different directions. They have a great surround sound system at Caesars. So it was,
nice.
yeah, the system was, even for a Nolan, it worked. He did mumble a little bit, but even a mumble, everybody's hanging on his word. You guys, he apologized for some of the black and white. He said, look, there's a little black and white, but not a lot. So don't worry about it. And everybody was, breathed a sigh of relief.
Okay.
It's not all in black and white, it's color. And honestly, guys, I'm hyped about, I'm always hyped for a Nolan film. But after seeing this footage, I'm like, good God, this is the most important film of the summer. I believe that after watching the footage. Like, Matt Damon is so good at, like, he plays this general, and you're just like, God damn, I love Matt Damon. And then everybody else who's in this film shows up, and you're like, God, I love that person. I love him. I love him. And it's the same with, Barbie on the other side of it, has a ton of people in it too. Will Ferrell shows up. There's a lot of surprises in Barbie. The whole world. I mean, Warner Brothers and Greta Gerwig created this entire world. Obviously, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling showed up to talk about it, and she was in her little Barbie outfit. And you guys, I'm telling you, this film, it's like Matrix 5. The what they do with Barbie and getting into that world is really funny. And let's talk about a big Hollywood comedy. How often do we get those? And listen, Barbie came around in what, 59, I believe. So it's been around for a long, we're talking about IP that has just sat there and fermented, and it's ready to explode in the same way that Oppenheimer is. But you're right. I think Barbie takes this thing, even though Oppenheimer looks like it could be Best Picture of the year. Oppenheimer's gonna overplay what Dunkirk did. I think Dunkirk ended up.
Well, so that to me was the question: is can it reach a Dunkirk level?
Yes.
Like, and personally, I'm trying to put aside our, Nolan was our dead horse that we were beating for years, going in and out of Tenet. Putting that aside, it doesn't feel to me like Oppenheimer has that general audience hook the way a Dunkirk, which is a war movie, or Interstellar, which is a space movie, or Inception, which is a Leo action movie. To me, Oppenheimer felt like it's a drama that could be up for Best Picture. It doesn't feel like a summer movie to me, but I was not at CinemaCon. I didn't hear Nolan's mumbles in person. But if you're saying that the footage was that impressive, to you, this feels like a summer popcorn movie.
Yeah, just watching the trailer make you, like, whether you know the story or the history or not, it makes it feel like the most important thing that's ever happened in the history of film. And Nolan is good at creating that. And so the fact that they thought that there's a chance they might blow up the world by setting off this bomb, and you see that realization come across all of these actors' faces. It's pretty harrowing, you guys. And you're just like, wow. Well, even though I know how this ends, this is just really good cinema. And that's my feeling going in. It's like, I think again, international audiences are going to propel this. They're really going to get behind this, saying, you stupid Americans making that bomb. How could you do that? And then you guys dropped it. What were you thinking? We need to watch this so we can vilify America.
Rock and roll.
We saved the world, guys. You don't know what happened.
Yeah. Bomb good.
But both of these films, I'm telling you, Op and Barbie, it's going to be a double feature weekend across the board. It doesn't hurt either of these films, and they're going to play all throughout August, both of these films. So I think it's good news for the industry.
I have been in groups. I just want to go real quick. I've been in groups recently where this has been what people have asked me. This happened on 2 different occasions. So what is your plan for July 21st? That's how it's been put, as if it is now an assumption that everyone is going to the movies that weekend to see either Barbie or Oppenheimer, or in several cases, the double feature. So I think that Barbie and Oppenheimer opening against each other is a good thing for both movies. I think especially for Barbie, because I think there is a camp of sort of older, or young adults who are very excited to see Barbie that weekend because it's in this quote unquote competition. So and the fact that, like you said, it's a big, loud, fun summer comedy, which we haven't gotten in a long time. So I think the buzz is bigger for both of them because they're opening the same weekend. Sorry, Clayton.
No, I mean, I agree totally, Pat, because you can't talk about the one without the other. And that is great for both of them. Now, do we know is Barbie rated PG? It has to be, right?
You know, after seeing it, it might be PG-13. But
wow.
I that's a mistake. If it is, it's a mistake. I mean,
but they may cut enough. You know what I mean? Like it's it's like that Brady Bunch humor. And I can't remember what the Brady Bunch movies were rated.
Oh, yeah,
I felt like they were PG-13, but maybe they were No, they had to be PG-13. It felt to me when I was watching, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the Brady Bunch vibe. I get it. It's funny.
That was because this last trailer ends with a joke that is kind of an innuendo. And I felt like, I mean, just make this thing PG because there's enough people who are going to go see it without the kind of innuendos, right? Like, you don't need that. And I understand that they are aiming for older kids, but also younger kids can go with a parent. So PG-13 is fine. You just, have a guardian with you and take a 6-year-old. That's fine.
Right.
But
I mean, listen, we've seen kids in the front row at Fast and Furious movies, at horror movies. So if kids want to go or parents want a kid to get in, the kid's getting in. This movie.
But the thing is, Mario is PG. Mario's PG. Barbie should be PG. Period. Okay, that's my thought.
I think it will end up being, and I think it doesn't matter because I think no matter what, kids are going to see this Barbie movie because kids aren't going alone anyway. A 6-year-old isn't walking up to the ticket booth and hopping up and buying a ticket. They're going with an adult. And I think adults aren't going to really pay attention to what the rating of this is anyway, because it's a Barbie movie.
And they will enjoy it more, I think, if there's a little of that 13 added in there. I mean, listen, guys, Barbie comes naked. I know she has clothes on, but when you pull them, and it's easy to pull them off, and that's what all kids do, and that's kind of how your introduction to sexuality is Barbies. I know it was for me, and He-Man and G.I. Joes. I wanted to see what they were like without their clothes on.
The difference is He-Man, G.I. Joe, those clothes were painted on. They were on. Barbie and Ken were the ones that you could get naked. So I agree. Barbie is a PG-13 property inherently because they are the only new dolls.
Well, listen, it can go from PG-13 up depending on how you play with the dolls for sure, right? I mean, there's probably a lot of kids that are doing some R-rated stuff, but the Brady Bunch movie looks like from 95 was PG-13. So that makes sense. Yeah. And if that's the tone, then I completely understand the PG-13. Now, my thing with Oppenheimer is I'm of two minds here because I think the movement we're seeing in theaters is more towards people wanting to go and have fun, right? The movies that have succeeded have been movies that said, this is fun, not like this is a lesson for you, right? We're seeing that movement. Now, Oppenheimer, of course, it's not as didactic as some of the movies that have failed, but it's super serious. And is that a good thing because it's different than most of the stuff that's coming out this summer? Or is it a bad thing because it's like, why are you putting a turd in my punch bowl right in the middle of summer, right? So like, that is my question. Now, Nolan has been a hit maker. Tenet, it's really hard to hold against him because of the release date and all that stuff. But I just don't know that if that movie would have done well, even if it didn't come out when it did. It seems like that one was looked at as a turkey. So he's not on the steadiest of ground, but this feels more like his sort of playground, his sort of wheelhouse, right? This like very serious movie about bombs. So I'm curious. I think Barbie's going to beat Oppenheimer for sure, but Oppenheimer might be one of those movies that does a lot of business and has a lot of legs because people hear about how good it is, if it is good.
Let's play the opening weekend over-under game on Oppenheimer. So Dunkirk opened in 2017 to 50.5 million, Interstellar 47.5.
Yeah.
So that $50 million mark, are we over or under 50 million on Oppenheimer?
Guys,
I'm going to say I'm under. Clayton?
It has all
I said under.
Okay, it has all the IMAX screens, guys. It has all of them. And it has that countdown thing that's in theaters. It's counting down right now at your local theater. You can go in there, you can watch it count down all the way to when Oppenheimer opens in late July. Guys, so it's on people's mind. It's ticking. I'm gonna take the over on this, guys. I just think, I know that like Barbie's gonna get the families. That's great. But there are a lot of people, a lot of adults that go to the movies. Yeah, when you rattled off those numbers, I was like, wow, Nolan, who does films to 50 million, he's an IP, guys. He's his own IP. And Oppenheimer is those oldies. Are you kidding me? They've been waiting for this film. Remember Fat Man and Little Boy? That film bombed in theaters. This is the one they've been waiting for. This is the one that tells their story. And I'm telling you, they're going to show up. It's just the trailers are going to get more and more intense as we get closer to it. And the thing about summer is, I think by the time we hit late July, people will, and Clayton, I hear you, because summer is fun and it's furious and it's fabulous and there's oil everywhere. But every once in a while, you want to sit in a darkened theater and lament the human crisis. And that is Oppenheimer. There's not a lot of films that are going to be big from A24 or Focus Features on the serious side that are coming out this summer. So this is it. This is you got the art house people, you got the oldies, the oldsters, they are there, the boomers. And then, everybody who says, you know what, I got to recommit to cinema. I got to get ready for the fall season. This is going to be nominated for Best Picture. So I better go see this. I'm saying on the 50.
Jeff, you hit on something, and we'll move off this really quickly, but you hit on something that I think is important that I wasn't thinking of, is that there's so many dads that all they watch is History Channel.
Yeah.
And this is a chance to see one of the biggest History Channel sort of topics done by a cinematic master on the big screen. So there's going to be a lot of people that normally don't go to see movies. Probably the last movie they would have seen is Maverick or possibly Jesus Revolution. And then they come and they watch Oppenheimer because it's historical, and it's going to be like a better version of a History Channel special on the bomb. So that's the oldsters are going to come out for it. So I still think Barbie is going to beat it, but
yes,
it's great that they're going head to head. This is a story.
Yep. Hey, Pat, real quick.
Yes.
Did those previous Nolan films open against anything substantial? That is a good.
Oh, so yeah. What did Dunkirk open up against?
I think they had those weekends to themselves. They all had this similar weekend of Dunkirk was end of July. I think Interstellar was a November movie. And then of course Inception was a end of July movie. So Nolan definitely likes this
he likes
spot.
That. But you're right. Let's say Barbie becomes this massive $100 million opener, and maybe it could. I don't know, because if you think about films directly aimed for females, there's not a lot out there this summer. This is it, and I know there's a lot of guys who want to go see this too. It's just it is a family film also, but it also heavily leans into that female demo. If it becomes this $100 million beast, then you're right. Maybe Oppenheimer hits 42. Something like that.
Yeah.
But as it is with those IMAX screens, and if Barbie stays like at 65, 70, then I could see it still opening at 50.
Well,
very
Dunkirk
exciting.
Opened up against Girls Trip, Spider-Man Homecoming's third weekend, War of the Planet of the Apes' second weekend.
So a busy weekend, but nothing the level of Barbie opening weekend.
31.2.
Wow.
Amazing.
In like 1,000 less theaters than Dunkirk.
Amazing.
Wow. So it's happened before. There's been a female skewed film that has opened very well against a Nolan film. So this is just what Hollywood does now.
So let's actually stay on female comedies, because I want to move to topic of summer comedies, and is this the summer that the big screen comedy returns? So the biggest player out there this summer, I think there's a lot on the line for this movie. Jennifer Lawrence headlines the comedic film No Hard Feelings, and that opens, let me see, early
The
June, I think.
23rd of June, the
June
weekend
23rd.
after, The Flash and
Weekend
Elemental.
after The Flash. Now, Clayton, you and I have watched this trailer. We both really like it. I've seen it in a movie theater, and it plays really well. Jeff, what is your feeling on No Hard Feelings? J. Law trying to reassert herself as a giant movie star and make big screen comedies a thing again. It has been a while since just a movie that is not comedy hidden within a superhero movie or comedy hidden within a horror movie like Megan, just a comedy has been a draw. So is No Hard Feelings gonna bring back the studio comedy?
You guys know how we know that movies are back is because Hollywood starts making the same mistakes that they've always made, right? Like they opened four films on every single weekend, like we've seen in April, right? And most of those are dogs because they just can't compete. They were never meant to compete. They needed to space out the release calendar and have maybe a weekend all to themselves. So Hollywood gets this weekend wrong. We're talking about No Hard Feelings. It's opening against Joyride, which is another female-centric comedy that I believe is going to be rated R. No Hard Feelings is rated R, and they open the same weekend.
So I just,
are you kidding me?
Not to correct you, and you may be correcting me here. What I'm looking at says that Joyride has moved to 2 weeks later, that it's now opening on July 7th.
Okay, if
up
that's
against
true,
Insidious, The Red Door.
Okay, let me see. I don't have that on my schedule as moved, but you know what? It's possible. I've been, like I said, I've been trapped in the epicenter of hype.
Right.
Now, if that is true and Joyride moves, that would be great because No Hard Feelings needs theaters to itself to really find that audience. If that happens, I think the trailer looks great. But you and I think all three of us, we love these hard R-rated comedies. We grew up on them. You know, our millennials, our Gen Z, are they going to show up to them? I still don't know the answer to that. And even after seeing the trailer and watching it with people, I know we're laughing, but what they need is the younger generation laughing, and they can't even go see this film because it's rated R, right? I mean, parents are pretty strict about that, right? These days.
Well, it basically is R 20 to 20, are people in their 20s going to go see this in a big way? Obviously, and teenagers. I think you need people from 15 to 29 to go see this in a big way. And listen, we're a Farrelly Brothers generation. We liked our movies soaked in semen. Let's just say it. That's how we liked our comedies.
Absolutely dipped in it. Yeah. And this definitely is dipped in that solution. So I'm pulling for it like you guys are too. I just, Asteroid City goes wide that weekend, expands wide that weekend, unless that's changed. But I think that film was very well received also at CinemaCon. It feels like a return to form for Wes Anderson, and that cast, you can't beat it. I didn't particularly care for his last film, and the box office certainly reflected that. But this really does feel like the Wes Anderson films that you really want to like and love. That's what this feels like. So that could surprise this summer. That's going to take that adult audience away from No Hard Feelings that weekend. Like you said, Joyride, we don't think is opening that same weekend anymore.
It really looks like, according to the numbers, it also, because we are on Wikipedia, but according to the numbers, it's also opening July 7th. So it feels like that is the new date for Joyride. So
Joyride Joyride could not have stayed at that date. It would have completely killed Joyride dead.
Okay. So
here's my take. Sorry. Here's my take on No Hard Feelings really quick. Sorry, Jeff, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's good.
As for the younger generation, and I know, listen, we've said this before, tweets aren't ticks. There's a lot of stuff going on online. It is an outrage factory. I have seen videos with the title, "Is this movie about grooming?" grooming this, grooming that, because in this movie, Jennifer Lawrence plays an older girl dating a younger man, like a teenage boy, and she is in her late 20s, early 30s. That is something that the younger generation is obsessed with, and our generation is like, well, it's a comedy, so that's fine. Will those people, those younger kids, get the quote unquote ick from this movie, too much so that they will not find it funny? Now, that might just be Twitter insanity, Twitter sickness seeping into the conversation, but it's not something to totally dismiss, because you need to be on board with the comedy and not be like, oh, this is gross to me, and not gross in the semen way, not a
Right. In a
gross
fun
out in
way.
the sense it's funny, right?
Right.
Like
Not hair
in
gel.
Bridesmaids, not hair gel, or in Bridesmaids where they're shitting in the street, but like a fundamental, like, I don't think this is right morally. So that's a question with this movie. I think people of our generation will be like, oh yeah, it's a like sex comedy. That's fine.
Yeah.
So they'll get
Yeah.
us, but they might not get those 20 somethings.
Well, and this is a huge test for Jennifer Lawrence as a movie star. And I'm not someone who thinks her star has waned in any way. I think she just took some time off. And if you look at even the last few big movies she made, something like Red Sparrow getting to whatever it got to, 70 million, is based purely on her star power. You know, there were movies she made like that, and the movie about the mop, where those movies were getting to 50, 60, 70 million that would have made 5 million if it wasn't a Jennifer Lawrence movie. So I'm someone who thinks she is still a giant star. She took some time off. And I think the barometer here is, can J-Law get this movie to open to $30 million? You know,
I
is
think
this,
the
That's
mark,
high.
I think
that feels high. Okay.
I think the mark here is Good Boys. I think if
Okay.
she
Yep.
can reach 21 million with an
Okay.
opening for this movie and leg out, I mean, Good Boys in 2019 made it all the way to $83 million. If she can do that with this movie, then it was a success.
Okay.
30 million is crazy. That's too high for, I mean, if it happens, I would love that to happen. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Well, and
But
this is
that's
a type of
not
movie that,
realistic.
and you look back at something about Mary, which is not going to be that was an all-time phenomenon, but these type of movies, if they are really good, could also open low-ish and still leg out to big numbers, because they're just a movie that people go see weekend after weekend. So I think with this, what you want to see out of this movie is get over the hump of the sort of like game night blockers, 52 million-ish area. Can J-Law get this movie to 80, 90 million dollars? Could it get to 100 like a Girls Trip? Is that a
Oh,
possibility? I mean, that would
I
be a
can't
giant
see
sign
it.
of her stardom if No Hard Feelings could get to 80 million plus.
Oh, 100%. That
Yeah,
means that, I don't even know if that means comedy is back, but it would definitely mean that J-Law is back.
right.
And it's got a great release date. You look at it, okay,
Yep.
it's got 2 weeks now until we've confirmed that Joyride opens on July 7th. So that's really a direct competition. And that's probably going to hurt Joyride more than it hurts No Hard Feelings. Because if No Hard Feelings goes through that 4th of July weekend, and it really is the only comedy out there, guys, you know, it goes against Indiana Jones, it goes against Insidious, The Red Door, and then Mission Impossible, Theater Camp, Barbie, Oppenheimer, you know, and that Barbie's a big, broad comedy. So very different than what No Hard Feelings is. So again, you're right, Pat. I think because of its uniqueness, because it's an original film out there, hard R-rated comedy, there's nothing else like it. As long as it hits, could have some pretty good legs. The one thing I will say though, Universal Strays, which dropped more F-bombs than a Quentin Tarantino film, opens 2 weeks before it. That's the film I feel plays like Good Boys. It's the one that legs out possibly until August. It just looks hilarious. And it's just, it's ripe. It's ripe. We grew up with Incredible Journey and all these talking animal films. And now they're finally giving it the R-rated treatment, and people were dying at this trailer when it played. Obviously, Will Ferrell was there to hype the thing up, and the dog was there, and the dog doing something incredible. This dog was a female dog playing a male dog. You guys,
Wow.
we've come a long ways, you guys. That's what we got now, and
Love it.
That's like Spuds McKenzie. Spuds McKenzie was a
Spuds
female dog.
Yeah, exactly. I guess these female dogs are just easier to work with. And this dog was very patient on stage, and Will was moving around a lot. And Will insulted this dog quite a bit, but it stayed calm, like very, very professional. But this film plays hilarious. Will Forte as the dog's owner. And then you've got a great cast of dog voices. You guys, this is like the surprise. I'm hoping the surprise of the summer.
I totally agree. I mentioned this film to Clayton before we got on mic. I saw the trailer for Strays before a packed Evil Dead Rise screening last week. Played like gangbusters. This was a movie I had heard very little bit about, but the second that trailer ended, I thought this could be a big hit this summer. And it's, I'm sure, fairly low budgeted. It's all voiceover talent. It's dogs, and I'm sure they're super talented, but none of these dogs are $20 million dogs. It's not the dog from Frasier in this film. So I agree. I think Strays can be pretty big. And listen, you get Strays big, you get No Hard Feelings, gets to $70-80 million, opens over 20. Then we're starting to feel like comedy's back at the box office. This could be a huge, huge summer for comedy.
Well, in Strays is Universal, and Save Renfield, they've really done a great job with their release slate. So, I mean, I could see Strays being, like you said, low budgeted, but, if it's a crowd pleaser, it's going to make Bafa Bobo, and then it's going to just drive people right to Peacock.
Yes, yes.
Of course, as they all do.
And you know what? It's one of those things where Strays will play for 2 weeks, and the people who go see that, they're going to be served up a lot of trailers for No Hard Feelings. So I think that's going to be a nice little game of a relay race there. Just take that baton and pass it right from Strays to No Hard Feelings. Yet Strays could be a summer Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear opens like 23 million. Strays could open 18 to 25 and then get itself to 55 million. I mean, that is I think a real possibility here.
Yeah, I'm throwing Strays in the Snark universe, and that Snark universe has paid off. Megan, Violent Night, Cocaine Bear. I mean, they couldn't stop talking about Cocaine Bear at the Universal presentation at CinemaCon this week. They just love that film. Now, they didn't announce the sequel, but guys, Megan is already on the board with the sequel, and they've been talking about Violent Night. So I assume that Cocaine Bear is going to get a sequel. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 bears on cocaine in the next one. So that's something to look forward to.
Yes. That's going to be huge. So real quickly before we get off the comedy subject, you've mentioned Joyride. I don't know much about that movie. I know Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere is the star of that, and she's obviously got a lot of heat with the Oscar nom. So, Jeff, give us your spiel on Joyride. Is this a potential low-budget breakout? Is this a star-making performance comedically for anyone in there? What do you know about Joyride?
Just from what I saw, obviously it's one of Lionsgate's big films this summer. They don't have a lot going on this summer. They have the Robert De Niro comedy earlier about my father. And then they have The Blackening, which actually I think looks kind of interesting. This is the take on black horror films, tongue-in-cheek thing, and that opens against The Flash and Elemental, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to gain any traction. So Joyride is more of their, hey, this is something that could work, but it feels very niche to me. I think y'all want, again, we love comedy, and more comedy the better. But it's just in a tough place. Like you said, if Strays and No Hard Feelings hit, is there enough room for another comedy 2 weeks later? Right. I think Lionsgate's in a tough spot where they put this film.
So moving on,
I'm saying it doesn't break out. No.
Okay, but it could be a movie that does a little at the box office, and when it does eventually hit streaming, it has a little more notoriety than
Yeah,
if it went
exactly.
straight to Amazon
Produced
Prime.
by Point Grey, which is, I think, Seth Rogen's company, right? And
Yeah.
his writing partner's company. So, I mean, again, the boys, I mean, they've produced some stuff. Well, Good Boys, they did that too. So, I mean, it comes from a pedigree. It's not like it's
Right.
out of
Yeah.
nowhere. So they know comedy. So it could be a little sleeper here. I
And
don't think it's going to be Girls Trip,
yeah,
but
no. Lionsgate's putting a lot into this. And guys, running time 132. Bam, 93
Great.
minutes. Perfect for a
Great.
comedy.
got to. Perfect.
Perfect.
Perfect. I like it
So,
already.
so let's get into some big movies we haven't discussed in the genre of, is this franchise past its sell-by date? So I'm going to throw 3 titles out there. Let's get into whether we think these are all franchises on the downswing, and will any of these bomb? Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Transformers, which is, what is the subtitle on Transformers? I can't even think of
Rise
that.
of the Beast.
Rise of the Beasts.
Transformers Rise of the Beast. And then we have not said the name of this movie yet. Fast X, the newest Fast and Furious movie. So Fast X is your Memorial Day weekend movie, right? It opens on May 19th. So and then June 9th is Transformers. And when do you have Indiana Jones? That's the end of June. That's June 30th.
June 30th.
So of those 3 movies, these are late entries into their respective franchises. Which of these do we think is going to be the biggest hit? And are any of these going to be a outright bomb? And Clayton, I feel like I know where you're going to go on the bomb. Let me go to you first, Clayton. What are you feeling on these 3 movies? Fast X, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Transformers Rise of the Beast. What's your big take on these 3 franchise films?
Well, here's the thing. I will actually push back a little bit about the Transformers one, because that is already a franchise that cratered and is rebuilding.
It's a rebooting, yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, because they had Bumblebee, which went, it was a smaller film that they tried to, make it small and build from there. This is actually it trying to rise from the ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess these beasts, this is past my time playing with Transformers, where there's these ones that turn into animals. And I guess they had a big cartoon series and stuff like that. So this is aimed at definitely the younger viewer, where those Transformers movies were squarely aimed at us. So this, I feel like, is going to do what it's going to do. It's not going to ever reach the heights of those Michael Bay movies. So I can't really speak to, I think it'll do probably better than Bumblebee, but I don't think this is a world beater in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Now, Fast X, the fatigue has set in, because I think it's the same basic story they've been doing for too long. Hey, here's another guy that you kind of like shows up, and he's got some relation to one of these guys, and the family's going to be threatened. And then Momoa's just going to be on the roof having barbecue by the end of the next movie. And I don't think Momoa is a value add in any way. I think Cena was not served well by that last movie, but he's definitely a guy I want to see. I personally don't think Momoa adds anything to this other than, yes, he's Aquaman, but the guy has not had any other sniffing of a hit in anything other than Aquaman. So I think Fast X is going to be a disappointment. Dial of Destiny. Nobody liked the last one. Harrison Ford, I think, he was laughable watching him in 1923 trying to punch somebody. I cannot imagine what he's going to look like in this movie on the big screen. And then, I'm sorry, Pat, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it.
I'm
going to say it.
Besmirch her.
But yeah, I think that the what's that show that she did?
Fleabag. Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
She's going to become a giant star this summer.
No, no. The COVID, listen, people died in COVID, so I don't want to make light of it. but I think one of the biggest victims of COVID was Phoebe Waller-Bridges. She won all those Emmys and then did not get to capitalize on it. She is in this movie. She is not a value add. Nobody's going to see this movie to see her. If the handing of the torch is going to go to her, people are going to be in an uproar because nobody cares about her in America. Nobody cares about her in America.
I'll
This movie is going to be
excited.
a disappointment. I think all of these movies have no chance of being the biggest film of the summer. I mean, the fact that this Indiana Jones movie actually exists is like laughable to me. I was never a fan of the other ones, so maybe I'm a little bit biased here, but it's just going to be sad to see him on screen. It's just going to be sad.
Let's not count Bumblebee as the most recent movie in the Transformers franchise.
It is though. This movie is connected to Bumblebee.
Well, but I let's go back to Transformers last night. That opened to 44 million, got to 130 domestic. Of these three, worldwide was probably like 700 million. It was 602 million, which is a huge downswing from the other one. So it's a $500 million downswing from the previous two movies. Do we think of those three movies, any of them are going to be bigger than the most recent entry in the franchise? Do any of them tick up at all? And they don't have to be successful. But do we feel like any of these has a possibility of jumping out? Like, Jeff, have you anything at CinemaCon affect your outlook on Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, Transformers Rise of the Beast, or Fast X?
What did Crystal Skull make?
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
I mean, Crystal Skull was huge. It had $100 million opening weekend.
It was 317 domestic, 790 worldwide. That inflation, that's almost a billy, guys. Inflation, that's almost a billy. But you're right. Spielberg directed that. People had waited a long time to see him return. So this isn't hey, we've been waiting a long time. We've seen him. And you're right. A lot of people didn't like Crystal Skull. A lot of people like to, in fact, pretend that it didn't exist at all. This does not have the nostalgia play that Top Gun Maverick had, but it is indie. It'll still do well. I don't think as well as the last one did, unfortunately for Disney. But the one thing I will say is that the indie fans they're a force to be reckoned with. You know, they really are. Again, people will come out of the woodwork that don't usually go to movies to go see this film. Now, does it bring in families? That's the question. Well, guess what? 4th of July brings in families no matter what plays there. And so that's the perfect release date for this film. In fact, the only release date that this film could have succeeded. So Disney scored that. Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Are you kidding me? I can't believe this is going to theaters. I saw the preview for that. It looks like it should be on Netflix. That's the quality of this DreamWorks film, unfortunately. So it's not even, I don't think Harold and the Purple Crayon is even opening that week, even though Sony still has it on the schedule. They didn't even talk about it at CinemaCon. Leads me to believe that is moving to the fall. So again, and then you got basically a week off, right? Asteroid City and No Hard Feelings opened the week before it. So again, we're talking about a huge opening because of where this lands. Exact opposite of Transformers Rise of the Beast, which opens between the two probably most hyped films of the summer in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And then after that, The Flash and Elemental. So you're stuffing Transformers, a $200 million Paramount film. Guys, I saw the trailer for this. It looks like a Michael Bay film. That's what they did. They went back to making a giant, fat Transformers film. Like they didn't learn anything. That people, guess what, are over Transformers. And this thing is going to tank because they spent way too much on it. Guys, at CinemaCon, there was a Transformers party. And I'm like, oh, damn, that is hype. There's going to be Transformers there. So there were giant robots there. These robots didn't move, you guys. They didn't, they lit up. That's all they did. I'm like, where's the movie magic here, guys? It's 2023 and you're telling me you can't get Optimus Prime to do this shit?
Yeah.
He can't even move to the beat. He didn't do anything up there. He just stood there because he was a statue like David. You guys, it was embarrassing.
I mean, we had that technology dancing Coke cans. I mean, couldn't you just do that and have it bend at the hips?
So just one thing before we keep going, Clayton, did that sound weird to you, Jeff?
Yeah, that sounded like he was from a different planet.
It sounded like you were from a different planet.
You sounded
Clayton.
like you were like a Transformer, dude. It was awesome.
I am a Transformer.
Oh my God, there it is.
Yeah, you've got the Transformers filter on right now. It's very
Dude,
interesting what's happening there.
Great.
So I will just say I totally agree about Transformers. I saw this trailer, and that's why I wanted to compare it to The Last Night, not Bumblebee, because it is clearly supposed to be part of the Michael Bay aesthetic. And again, you can't count it on every region is different. You see a screening and the crowds are going to be different, but when this played in theaters, people were laughing at it. I think people have fully moved on from this Transformers franchise. And there's no star in this movie, and the people never really mattered in the plot of these Transformers movies, but they did have movie stars in that original Michael Bay series. They brought in Mark Wahlberg, did a few of those. You had Megan Fox at the height of her fame. You had Shia LaBeouf at the height of his fame.
Yeah.
I mean, who is in Rise of the Beast right now? I don't think there is there a movie star that they've brought in for this? I mean, I just don't see what the reason for this to exist is. And I agree. This is a movie that could open this could be a Dark Phoenix type situation. It opens in the 30s. Ends up at could this movie end up making under 100 domestic or low hundreds? It's possible. I think this Transformers franchise is completely on fumes now.
Yeah, it's like Mission Impossible in that I can't tell you a plot of any of the Transformers films, except maybe Bumblebee, because it's pretty simple. But there's so many. And I saw the trailer for this thing, guys, and I'm sure you guys did too. And you're like, how many factions of Transformers are we talking about now? Because it seems like there's a dozen different, groups. It's almost like the Warriors. Like these guys are going into New York City and there's 20 other gangs out there and who's on whose side and we got to watch out, can you dig it? But I don't think people can dig this film. That's the problem.
I don't think anyone's going to dig it. I think dig this movie a grave and dig this Transformers franchise a grave. There's no uniqueness to this promotion. There is nothing that says this is what's going to stand out as a reason for this Transformers Rise of the Beast to exist. It does just look like you've transported us back 10 years to the Michael Bay franchise. Jeff is holding up a promotional sticker perhaps that he got from CinemaCon.
This is the best thing about that movie. It's pretty cool.
It's shiny. Pretty cool, but it's not getting me out to a movie theater. Now going to Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny, I'm obviously in the bag for this movie. I think it's going to make Phoebe Waller-Bridge into a huge movie star. I do think, in all seriousness,
be serious for a second. Do I sound crazy? Do I still sound crazy, or do I?
No, now that you're not talking about Transformers, you don't sound like a Transformer anymore. Okay, I think just stay away from that subject.
Great, sounds good.
I think, like Jeff said, there is a fandom for this movie that is still alive. I think, that's very important. Barely, but alive. I do think the Indiana Jones audience is still alive. And it does have a great spot in the schedule. And I see this movie. Listen, it's not going to do what the last one did, but I still think when all's said and done, this Indiana Jones movie is going to end up at 250 domestic. That's where I'm seeing it. I think over 250 domestic, and I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge comes out of this as someone who's going to get big movies afterwards.
Okay, Pat, that's not going to happen. I saw, again, 20 minutes of this thing. I think they show 15, 20. Paramount did the exact same thing with Mission Impossible, and then they showed an action sequence from the middle of this film. That's what they gave us. And so it's Phoebe and Harrison just riding around in this little car thing. And you're watching it, you're going, God, is he doing all these stuff? I heard he broke his leg. Is this where he broke his leg? Like you're watching going, seems dangerous for this 80-year-old to be doing these things, I was worried about him as an actor more than just being into the film. And I think people are going to, say they pushed him too hard. This is cruelty to oldsters, and a lot of those factions are going to come out, I think, and protest this film because it's like they're making Harrison do some things that I don't think he should do. I mean, unless this is movie magic And I know, we're good at movie magic. We're good at CGI, but are we that good? Because I think they put his life at risk. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. Well, it gives the audience an emotional attachment to the movie.
But she did nothing for. I'm like, who is this?
Exactly.
And to me,
Thank you.
yeah, that's. I went into it and I'm like, I don't even. I did have to look. I was like, who is this person that's acting next to this legend? Where did they find her? That's what I said. Honestly.
I think they probably just showed the wrong 20 minutes. I think once you see the full
maybe
2 hours and 20 minutes, you'll come away saying that's our next leading lady movie star. Fast X. I feel like we all feel like this franchise is obviously on fumes, but the thing I will say is they are making it clear these are the last 2 movies in the franchise. And I do think that will be a help, because unlike something like Transformers, where there is no reason for this to exist, we don't know where this falls in the story, the Fast and Furious fans at least know we're coming to the end, and therefore this is important. And I don't think this movie will in any way fall off a cliff for the franchise. I don't think it will. And I think it's going to open bigger than the last one.
It's
F9...
going to, because that was COVID-ish times. It's going to open bigger. Here's my thought with X. It should have ended here. If they would have ended with 10, then this movie would have gotten a bump. But this is the penultimate one, and I think people aren't going to care, because they're like, okay, well, this is more of the same, and it's not the last one. Right. So I think 11 might do better than 10, but there's just nothing new in this that is like exciting at all to me. And I love these movies. Like, it is opening weekend for every single one since 5, but I just can't get myself hyped for this movie. I mean, I might not even go to the theaters to see this thing because it looks like same thing, different day.
You're going to make Vin Diesel cry. He almost cried on the CinemaCon stage. He spent 20 minutes talking about his love of cinema. And he was thanking the theater owners profusely. Like, thank you for making us your family. He said family, I swear, like probably 67 times by my count in that 20, like, just, you are my family. You are my family. You are my family. You're my family. It's all about family, guys, for 2 more. And then he dropped this bomb saying, like, we knew there was going to be another. And he said, and I think he's wrong. I don't know if he's on High on Life, but he was on something. And he goes, guys, we're bringing this next summer. We're bringing you Fast 11 next summer. And I think he thought he was living in 2024, because I think it's 2025. But he said next summer it's coming to an end. So even he's saying, hey guys, no need to watch this one, because it really ends in part 11 or whatever they're going to call the next one. That's where it ends. And so, yeah, you're right. Why go watch this one? It was just, you know what they did before Vin Diesel came on at CinemaCon? They had 4 other actors, Michelle and Jordana Brewster and 2 of the other guys from the thing, because there's a lot of people in this.
Tyrese Gibson.
Tyrese was there, and he was great. He was going off the prompter, which was nice, because everybody else was just fumbling the words at the prompter. But the problem is they reintroduced all 9 films before they got to Vin introducing the 10th film. So we were all just sitting there and going, guys, let's pick. And they talked about each film individually as if it really meant something deep and personal to them, and that was just written by Universal, obviously. And I was on the hype machine the whole time, but even I was, and the guy sitting next to me, that we were like, we got to get going. Come on, guys, we can't relive. And so they showed every single poster and talked about something that happened from each film just to connect us to 10. Guys, we don't need it. There's no need for this. Yeah, exactly. Should have ended. 10 should have just been the ball buster. I know the last one still did 726 million worldwide, and that was with the COVID stuff. So guys, we're still talking about possibly an 850 million worldwide. That's huge.
It's you know what? Even if it's with an asterisk, it is going to get that good press of being a box office improvement from the last one.
Yeah.
Because I mean, listen, that would be bad though. If Fast X opens lower than 70 million, then you've got some bad press coming out of it. Then you're going to have the Jeff Box at Exhibitor Relations Co. and the BO Boys hammering this movie hard if it opens to 69. I don't think it will. I think this will go over 70. It'll get over the 200 million domestic that the last one did. So it'll get the good press of being an upswing from the last one. That's not going to happen for Transformers, and that's not going to happen for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, even though that will make Phoebe Waller-Bridge into a movie star. So those are those three big franchise movies. Let's talk about, you mentioned this, a giant movie that could be the biggest movie this summer, and we have not really talked about it. So the newest animated Spider-Verse film. So this movie opens on, let's take a look. This opens in June.
This is June
correct?
2nd. First weekend
2nd.
of June. After The Little Mermaid.
So this is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's the sequel to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, that is a movie that it won the Oscar, right, for Best Picture Animated Film that year, opened in 2018.
Best animated film, yeah.
A movie that was not a behemoth at the box office, opened to 35 million December 2018, legged out to 190 million. Very highly regarded movie, definitely a hit, but not a juggernaut. But the sequel has high expectations. I mean, this is a movie that people are talking about as being in the running for the biggest movie of the summer. So, Jeff, is that too much of a leap? I mean, I feel like I get this is an animated superhero movie and everyone loved the first one, but it's a big leap to go from 190 million domestic to 500 million domestic. But listen, sequels could blow up. We all remember Austin Powers.
Yeah.
And The Spy Who Shagged Me. So
and even Pirates of the Caribbean, the Black Pearl, compared to what the next one did.
Yeah,
I don't even know the title of part 2, but yeah, that one killed it compared because the word of mouth was so good, and the word of mouth on Into the Spider-Verse is just, it's been incredible. It's still going on, it feels like, and so they're hitting this at the right time. People have been waiting for this film, but you're right. The first one did about under 400 million worldwide, but this thing, to say it would double it to go to 800 million would be incredible. If it does that, I mean, hats off to Sony and their Spider-Verse. This is great for them. I have a hard time believing, though, that even though we've made so much progress, as Pat and I can attest to, at least because we've seen Super Mario Brothers, and have contributed.
As everyone should.
Yeah, everybody has seen it, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, as Christian Bale said, good for you. Good for you.
But I still have a hard time believing that, the oldsters aren't showing up to this still. They don't care. They don't care about your new Spider-Man. They will wait for the live action Spider-Man. Whereas the oldsters definitely showed up for Super Mario Brothers, because even the grandfathers played Super Mario Brothers. The oldsters were in, every demo was in for SMB. And that is just not, I just don't think that's true with Spider-Man. So yeah, it's going to have a great uptick, but it's not going to be, I would be really surprised if it's the biggest film of the summer.
Okay. Yeah. I saw this trailer. One thing that's interesting to me is I do remember the first Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse being advertised and playing very much as a comedic movie. You had your Nicolas Cage Spider-Man, you had John Mulaney as a Spider-Pig.
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Ham. Yeah. Everything, of course, Spider-Pig is from the Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
Everything I've seen on this new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is very serious, very dramatic. And listen, that may mean more Boffo Bobo. It might be an even bigger hit because they're playing it so straight. But I do wonder if they are giving off a very different tone than the first movie had. I don't see any John Mulaney. I don't see any Nicolas Cage. Obviously, John Mulaney has had other things to do the last few years. I wonder if the tone change is a plus or a minus. Obviously, this will be a lot bigger than the last Spider-Verse movie.
It is interesting, though, because I've seen this trailer a few times, and it doesn't pop with audiences the way I expect it to.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what the disconnect is there. I do think it's going to be bigger than the first one, because it's going to open bigger than the first one did, because people know about it now and how awesome that first one was.
Right.
There just seems to be some weird, like you said, the marketing on this is just not right.
It feels dour.
Yeah, don't make it dour. Make it fun. Make it colorful and fun. That's the key. And then hit us with the dour after we're already in the seats and we've paid our ticket price to see it.
Yeah.
Speaking of, then, I mean, listen, guys, if this doesn't hit like we're talking about, I mean, it's going to hit, but it's not going to last, like, let's say it doesn't, because Elemental does come 2 weeks after. And Pixar, like we saw a big preview. They showed like 20 minutes of this thing at CinemaCon. And guys, it's Inside Out. I mean, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
We've been saying that for
Yeah, it is.
Ever.
It absolutely is. And it's beautiful. It's artistic. It's I know, but it's all those things that you expect out of an original Pixar film in theaters for the first time since the pandemic, and I was all in on this. And then I did a deep dive. I'm like, wait, who directed this thing? And then I found out, you guys, because I was like, is this Pete Docter? It was Peter Sohn. And do you know what his last Pixar film that he directed was?
What was it?
The Good Dinosaur.
Oh boy. God. Wow.
So they do believe in second chances, because as we all know, before Lightyear, that was the only really red mark on Pixar's sterling release. They were the gold standard of releases until The Good Dinosaur. And this is the director who brought you that. Now, I will say it's so cool of Pixar to believe in this guy so much that said, hey, you know what? It wasn't all on you. No film is all on one person, right? That's just not how it works.
Right. I mean, often these animated films will have like 6 credited directors anyway.
Yeah.
There's co-directors, but
he also did a voice. Didn't he also do the voice of the cat, that like cat robot or whatever that was in Lightyear? So he's the anti John Ratzenberger. After this movie comes out and tanks, I'm calling it now, because we're going to talk about the big hits that could be hits, but are actually going to bomb. I've said this, and I'm saying this. This is Clayton saying this. Pixar is critically bankrupt. Nobody wants their navel gazing bullshit anymore.
Wow.
And they've been relegated to Disney Plus. And this movie, like you said, it looks like a poor man's Inside Out. I don't care if this fire woman gets with this water guy. Okay, because it's all just gonna be about anxiety and existential and blah 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 blah. And you know what people want to see? Mario. They want to see Mario and Luigi and Princess in carts on the Rainbow Bridge. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see sad water boys and flame girls sitting around feeling bad about themselves. Clayton, that is not what they want.
There's a lot of Mario Kart and Super Mario Brothers. I'm just saying.
There is. It's a great sequence.
Yeah, it's
great.
So funny.
And I can't wait to sleep through it. I cannot wait to sleep through it.
In a movie theater, you have AMC A-list. You could sleep through it in a recliner. They have the AMC signature recliners that you could sleep through a Mario
Pat
screening.
said that I only have to be awake I can sleep for 60%, you said, right, Pat?
Yeah, 60%. You could sleep through 60% of the film and it will count.
I'll set an alarm for the racing part. Now, do you guys agree with me? Obviously, I'm being very hard on Elemental, but do you guys agree with me that this is going to be a disappointment? Maybe not on the level of The Good Dinosaur, but this definitely is not going to reach the heights of some of the best of Pixar.
I mean, I think this is make it or break it for Pixar. This is a huge movie. If Elemental doesn't work, I do think there is a full rethinking of what the Pixar brand means, whether it is just a D+ tab and they're not making big screen theatrical movies. Obviously, they could always make sequels to their franchises. They're going to make a new Toy Story. They'll make a Finding Nemo Jr. or, whatever it is, Monsters Graduate School, Monsters Corp, whatever it is.
Well, the education can continue with them post-grad and PhD and masters.
But I do think in terms of original Pixar films getting big theatrical releases, if Elemental bombs or underperforms, it's a game changer for Pixar. So, I mean, it's hard for me to. The thing is, a credo of the show is the rats need their cheese, and there's only so many kids. You can't bet against a kids movie in the summer. Obviously, Lightyear was an abomination last summer at the box office, but that's such a special case. I don't think this will bomb. I think just based on the rats and eating their cheese, they're gonna see this movie. Now, listen, it opens against the Flash, so maybe the Flash sucks all the air out of the room that weekend, and this Elemental opens to, $28 million and then just
come
tanks.
on. No,
But
no.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I agree. I think this will do fine. I don't think this will be Inside Out, but I don't think this will bomb.
No, and you're right. Pixar has Inside Out 2 coming out next summer in the same release date because they know what the people want and need. But Elemental has this, it is about this what they've shown you so far is that it's about falling in love with this water boy. But what the real story is, obviously, it's obviously deeper than that because Pixar is really deep, right? There's this element of the story where it's kind of they run this store. They run this fire store. It sells all things fire, and it's an elemental city, right? So there's water, and there's twig people or earth people, and then
is it about late stage capitalism, Jeff?
Yeah,
is that what you're getting?
It's absolute, and it's about racism because people don't like fire people. Fire people live like outside in the where's the bad place in New York? Where do you guys send all the bad people? That's where they live in New York, basically. And the town is created for water people and earth people, but not fire people. So they are relegated as outsiders. But I will say this. There is this element of the father and daughter, and I do have a daughter, so guilty, but they have this relationship, and it got to me, guys, because I think something happens to the father at some point.
Oh boy.
And man, I'm telling you, it hooked me. I'm like, man, I get the relationship between the water boy. That's fun. It's not Adam Sandler's water boy. It's just a different water boy. And that's fine. But this part got me, and it rolled me up. I'm like, I'm gonna have to see this thing, and I wasn't sure going in, and again, yeah, you're right. It opens against the Flash, but then again, nothing. There's no hard feelings in Asteroid City, and then there's Ruby Gillman, which nobody's gonna go see. That's Universal's film in 2 weeks. So Elemental, again, they know where to place this thing. The rats are going to be out there, and guys, they haven't seen a Pixar film in theater, not a real one. Lightyear is almost like a Disney animation or Disney Plus film. That's what it felt like, right?
Yes.
This is a real Pixar film. So we can poo-poo the brand all we want, but guys, outside of the Good Dinosaur, it's sterling. This brand is the best thing going in animation, and this is Pixar bringing it back.
And it's opening, and Clayton, I think this might change your tune slightly. It's opening on Father's Day weekend. It opens on Friday, June 16th. So it's Father's Day weekend, and if Jeff is saying that this movie has very strong fatherly themes to it, God, this could be the perfect weekend for that movie. I think it's a rats need their cheese situation. I think it's a rebound for Pixar. Lightyear was such a special case of just everyone knew that was a disaster going into it and was ready to crap all over it. I think that Elemental will do fine. It's not going to do Inside Out numbers, but I think it's a rebound for Pixar.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm being a little hyperbolic about this film just because I'm not a Pixar fan truly, but again, like you said, rats need their cheese, Father's Day. I mean, that's Pixar's being smart here in putting something back in theaters. And I do think, like you said, it's make or break. And I do think it's going to get a stay of execution. And then here's the thing. I mean, we joke it's Inside Out, but Inside Out was a huge hit. So even a pale imitation of Inside Out is going to do well and whet the appetite for the true sequel coming next summer. And I think Pixar should just continue to only put out sequels until they completely have wrung that all of them dry, and then put some of your more esoteric movies on D+. Do that. That's what I think you should do.
So we'll see, though. Elemental If it hits, it is a boon for those esoteric original Pixar movies.
If it does bomb, guys, I just want to reiterate, I am 51% hype right now because of CinemaCon.
Right.
I had popcorn for breakfast. I had Dippin' Dots. I had
Wow.
a Bavarian pretzel, and this is pretty amazing. I'm gonna show this to the audience that can see. You see that thing?
That's what do you got? Walking tacos?
Taco. They got walking tacos, guys.
Wow.
So this is a Doritos that you fill up. You rip open the bag, right? And you put your cheese, your salsa, your mayo. You put all that in there, and then you just take this into the theater, and like you're on the streets. You know?
That's amazing.
So Frito-Lay is doing this with Fritos, Doritos, nachos, and they're bringing this into theaters. And I had one this morning, and I'm like, guys, this is the greatest breakfast I've ever had, you know? So I'm also hyped up on this stuff still. So
wow,
again,
I
only
think
believe
the
about
big story from this whole entire podcast that is stretching into 2 hours plus is that Jeff Bock of Exhibitor Relations Co. puts mayonnaise on his taco. That I think is the biggest bombshell that we have heard.
Yeah.
And has access to said mayonnaise at a movie theater.
Yeah,
that's
amazing.
It's big, guys. It's the biggest thing that's going to happen this summer, the walk-in taco.
So I'm going to throw out first. Let's do some quicker hits on movies we haven't gotten to, and let me know if anyone has any strong takes on the box office for these. We have not mentioned the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. It's an animated film from Paramount, and this is also a Seth Rogen joint. Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg were co-writers of the screenplay. Voice actors include Hannibal Buress and Rose Byrne and John Cena and Jackie Chan and Ice Cube. So a lot of Seth Rogen favorites, and Seth Rogen himself, Paul Rudd. So, you know, they had the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. First one was a huge hit. Second one was a bomb, even though the second one was a good movie. You always got to try again with this franchise. I think there is a chance this could be pretty successful. I mean, I think that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are sort of ever present.
They're on your television screens all the time. You don't. This gives me the Teen Titans Go movie vibes. Very great, very strongly. A movie that opened to 10.4 million in 2018, July 27th, and made $29.7 million domestically. There's nothing new here. This is something. There's a new cartoon.
There's Seth Rogen.
I think this movie makes Teen Titans Go money. I do not think this is a hit. I do not think. You think this movie? What do you think this movie's going to make, Pat?
Oh, I don't think this is the first Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but what did that animated TMNT movie make back in the day? I mean, I think this could be a movie that opens in the teens and then gets to.
We'd be remiss. I'm sorry for the people who haven't subscribed to our YouTube. You've got to subscribe to our YouTube to see that Jeff Bock is wearing merch from this here movie. Is it enough to get him to shill for it? Let's find out. Jeff Bock. Jeff. What do you think?
Why am I wearing this goddamn shirt? Well, Paramount made me take it. Yeah, no, I love this graphic. And at CinemaCon, Paramount really, I mean, what does Paramount have, guys? If we look at it, they have Tom Cruise, they have the Transformers, sort of. They used to have G.I. Joe, and they have TMNT. And they have horror. Hey, Smile 2 was confirmed there. So that's great. They have
Smiles.
Yeah,
it's
Smiles. But they don't have a lot going for them. So they keep rebooting this Hasbro crap. And even with Seth Rogen, and he came out in a nice green suit, and just the crowd just ate him up. He was just making jokes left and right. They had these ninja dancers on stage going crazy with black lights and stuff. And still, all I could think of is, you guys are crazy if you think you're going to open against the Meg 2. I'm sorry, guys. The Meg 2 made $500 million worldwide. So what are you doing open August 4th against the Meg 2, which looks like batshit crazy fun? And that's what you're trying to push, is that TMNT, Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, is batshit crazy fun. Guess what? You're right, Clayton. It's the same old song and dance we've seen, even though it has Seth, so it's a little edgier, and the animation they sort of copied the Spider-Verse animation, so they're trying to make it really cool like that. But I see through you, Paramount. I see through you, and I don't know why you're trying to take out Jason Statham and that chum. That chum is gonna kill TMNT. Sorry, guys.
Now,
do you
Pat,
think is Meg 2 going to be a breakout sequel? Is this bigger than the last movie, or do you think it could do less and still be considered a hit?
Well, there's 3 Megs in it, guys. I'm going to spoil that because it's in the trailer.
Oh, wow.
There's 3 Megs, you guys. It's just eating everybody and it's crunchy time here. It's like the walking taco. It's the walking shark. He's almost going up on land, getting people. He eats a Tyrannosaurus Rex as a side to Universal, saying, hey, you got your prehistoric guys? We just crunched him. Bam. Your T-Rex is dead. So it's like Warner Brothers is trying to make this, I think, into their Fast and Furious franchise. Like, we're going to do some crazy shit with this shark, and you guys are going to love it and eat it up. And it feels like they spent even more on this film. I don't know that it makes more, but God, you guys, if it goes into China, and China was the #1 market for the last one, it did like 150 or 60 there, right? It made more there than it did in America because of the connections, that Chinese Middle Kingdom connection. If it does a lot there too, Warner Brothers could be looking at another $500 million hit. We'll be talking about the $1 billion Meg franchise, you guys. Come on.
Wow. I mean,
come on.
A plus on this, no Rainn Wilson this time. He's dead, so therefore he cannot be in this movie. So that is a value add, his absence. But the original made 145 domestic. It opened up, I believe, 45.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, this is just fun, dumb entertainment at the end of the summer, right? Because it's in August. Am I wrong?
It's the first weekend. It's in the bullet train spot.
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
mean,
your last biggie of the summer in a way.
So much funner than Bullet Train. I mean, I think this movie may not end up making 527 worldwide, but like you said, Jeff, I mean, if it hits big in China, it's a known quantity now, so it could make more. I mean, this is going to be a hit.
Shark movie.
Yeah. People
Shark
love
movie in the summer.
Sharks.
Who doesn't want to watch that?
Yeah, I agree, though I'll say I'm a little higher on the TMNT animated sequel than you guys are. So we'll see. I mean, listen, the thing with the Ninja Turtles movies are that even TMNT in 2007 opens at 24 million. Those Michael Bay movies opens at 65 and 35. The audience is there. I think the IP is still known. I'm not saying this is going to be a giant hit, but I do think it's gonna open in the high teens. I do think that there's the recognition of this IP. Seth Rogen's going to be pounding the pavement, and I think
it's not good. That's not good. For this.
That's not good.
Well, it depends on how they budgeted
Titans.
this.
I mean, it's Titans Go.
Oh, it's not
movie.
Titans. It's not.
It is Titans Go movie. It makes the same. I bet you it makes the same.
Wait, are you saying
that $1? It's going to make more than Titans.
What about does it make as much as DC Super Pets? That's what
it makes way less.
It makes way less. Yeah. Okay. I mean, but the thing is, Super Pets was in a way one of the biggest movies of the summer last year based on just its spot, and then nothing opened after it. It just had that.
If you can't beat DC Super Pets, I'm sorry. You can't get a sequel. You can't.
Super Pets made 93.6. TMNT is not going to sniff the butts of these Super Pets.
60. Yeah. Pat? What are you calling? I want final domestic.
I think it's going to get over. I think 50 million. I think this Ninja Turtles movie gets over 50 million domestic.
Okay.
Nah.
Okay.
That's where I'm going. I'm going over 50.
Nah.
Anything else we haven't hit that we want to touch on? There's the Insidious 4, the Red Door movie.
Bomb of the summer.
Go for it, Jeff.
Bomb of the summer for me. After seeing a preview, a really mishandled preview, Disney does it again. They can't get Haunted Mansion right.
Yeah, okay.
It bombs big time. That last weekend of July, opening after Barbie and Oppenheimer both kill it. And then guess what? Haunted Mansion, the Disney fans are going to go crazy. They're going to be like, oh, it's everything I ever wanted, blah, blah, blah. But there's no chemistry here. with those. It's just a weird mix of leads. You know, you got Owen Wilson, you got Danny DeVito, you got just weirdness going on. That horror comedy it's a fine line. Even The Frighteners, which I loved, you know, it struggled in theaters. They tried it with Eddie Murphy once and failed. This is RIP, guys. Haunted Mansion is going down, and I bet they spent the visual effects are great. Don't get me wrong. I love the visual effects, but it just doesn't go anywhere. It's so weird, you guys. This is bomb of the summer for me.
Yeah.
Pat, listen to this cast. Lakeith Stanfield,
Yep.
Tiffany Haddish, Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Dan Levy, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jared Leto.
Jared Leto in a Disney amusement ride film. Do you think that he's acted like he was a ghost the whole time he was on set? Do you think he was just scaring people on the Haunted Mansion set to stay in character, or maybe even just sending feces in a box around because he's still
funny.
saying he's Joker? That cast is nuts. I did see this trailer before Evil Dead Rise last week. It was quite a slew of trailers for Evil Dead Rise. It looks terrible. As you said, the Eddie Murphy version in the early 2000s only made $73 million domestic, and that was in still a good post Nutty Professor period for Eddie Murphy. Yeah. He was someone who was still making hit movies in 2003. So Lakeith Stanfield, great actor, but he has no star power. And Danny DeVito is it's just been amazing that he still is around, but obviously he's not a box office draw. There's no box office draws here. Tiffany Haddish is, I think, canceled. I don't know what her situation is, but I feel like her star power is obviously waned. She's basically a streaming TV actress at this point. There's no one here to carry this box office.
I've definitely seen Tiffany Haddish on posters for big comedy shows around New York City, that she has no right as a movie star to be on those posters because she is in a motley crew of people. So she is back on the stand-up scene, which is very sad for somebody who was once a burgeoning movie star.
Oh no, Tiffany Haddish is doing stand-up?
Yes.
Oh, that's bad.
I know.
And
it's disturbing.
Oh no.
And you want to hear something even worse maybe than that?
Well,
you walk down the halls at CinemaCon, right? And there's posters of all the things that are coming out, and you get hyped. It's like walking down like the yellow brick road. You're just like, oh, this is great. I just having a great time. And then I looked at one. I'm like, Tiffany Haddish in what's this movie? And it's like walking the streets or walking and I'm just like, I've never heard of this. And then I look further down on this poster, and it's like, yeah, this is a release. This is a company I've never even heard of, and they say it's coming to theaters this summer, and I've never even heard of this film. That's what she's doing, guys. Those are the kind of films she's making now, films you've never heard of and will never probably actually see in theaters, even though they say it's released, and then they don't release the box office. You know, those kind of films that come out, and then you're like, hey, can I get that box office? Can I get that BO? What do you guys got? And then you never hear from that company again. And in fact, it tanks their company. That's the kind of film that Tiffany Haddish is starring in now, folks.
Tiffany Haddish.
She was going to be our next Eddie Murphy, our next Will Ferrell, our next Jim Carrey, and now she's back doing.
I think it's called Back on the Strip, something like that. You guys.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. This Haunted Mansion, we all agree this is going to be a disaster. Gran Turismo, there's a film version of Gran Turismo by the director of District 9, Neil Blomkamp, who has been in a rut for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a video game movie, right? So that's something. It stars David Harbour, so he's hot off a Violent Night. Is there anything here? It opens on August 11th from Sony Pictures.
PlayStation production and Trigger Street Productions. Here's the thing with this. Is that I have not seen anything about this. I know nothing about this, but my assumption
is Orlando
is
Bloom.
Well, there we go. He's got a huge hog, I guess. But other than that,
he does.
That's what I've heard.
I'm in.
But that's the Turismo of in question.
Yeah, that's the Gran.
It's the Gran. Yeah, for sure.
Here's the thing. This is probably a vestige from the old way of making video game movies, which is let's take this game and try to make a story out of it that does not exist in the game because it is a racing game. And that is the old way. That is the original Super Mario's way of doing a movie, not the Super Mario Brothers current way of doing a movie. This thing's DOA. I mean, it's probably going to get a release in theaters, but yeah, it's done, I think. I don't think there's anything here.
That's a tough sell, and again, they're putting it against Universal's Last Voyage of the Demeter, which that's nothing special in itself. But you got two kind of throwaways there at the end of the summer. You guys, we know how this goes. We've seen this story before. Late summer, if you're not really behind your film, you're just tossing it out there and just hoping for the best. You're just rolling the dice out there. This feels like Aaron Paul's Need for Speed for me. Another film that. They really, I think that was a Disney production. They wanted that to be the next Fast and Furious, and that was a video game property, and it just spun out. And Aaron Paul was crying in the film and stuff. He thought he was like in a Scorsese film in Need for Speed. And I wonder if Orlando Bloom is going to think he's in a Scorsese film in Gran Turismo. Maybe if Clayton's right and he shows his hog, it's possible that it might sell a few more tickets, but I haven't seen a rating on that one yet.
That would be the only
ends
way.
with a Boogie Nights shot, then yeah.
Now, can we talk really quickly, because I know this isn't going to be a surprise hit, but we do have to talk September 1st, Equalizer 3. We've got Denzel Washington.
You mean the Threequalizer?
I'm sorry, the Threequalizer. My apologies. Antoine Fuqua back in the seat. And he's done all three of these movies, and there is not a more consistent, sort of movie action ear than this. Equalizer 1, domestic gross 101, worldwide gross 192. Equalizer 2, domestic gross 102, worldwide gross 190. So here's what I'm calling the Threequalizer 103 domestic. And then 193 worldwide.
Wow.
That's my call.
I love it.
Dakota Fanning back in this bitch. And I just think when I saw this trailer online, and now, Jeff, did they show that trailer at CinemaCon?
Oh, yeah. They were hyping that. In fact, that was their big end. They're like, look at this shit. Look at this, guys. You're gonna want to see the Threequalizer. The only thing that could go wrong for Sony is if they don't really change the title to the Threequalizer, because I think people need to know that word threequel exists. Like, it doesn't just exist in film Twitter. It's a real word. People use threequel all the time, and calling it the Threequalizer, I think, legitimizes that. So let's just, if they do that. I'm gonna say this right now: 203 worldwide.
Wow!
I got to get a 3 in there. I love that, and I hope that is true.
Boost to 10 million.
So, I do.
That's Clayton and I's bet, I think.
I do love that Denzel doesn't water down his action like bona fides by doing a lot of action movies, right? The Liam Neeson, and listen, the guy's a mensch. He's a great man, but he waters down his product so much because he's in so many. And Denzel comes out with these Equalizer movies, and they're going to be bangers. And I think that really is a benefit to him because, listen, he could be doing these kinds of movies till the cows come home. But the Equalizer and the Sequelizer, the Threequalizer, those mean quality. Those mean something. And so I do think this is going to continue its winning streak. And like we said, it's going to bump up from the last one. Not huge, but just enough. Keep this thing going.
All right.
I mean, what an ending for the summer. This is a great ending. We should always have a big sequel on Labor Day weekend.
Yes. I'd love that.
So real quick, we've gone through everything. Let's go around and based only on domestic, let's go 4 deep. I want each to give our top 4 domestic in order for the summer of 2023. And you know what? I will go first here, and I will say the number one movie of the summer. Man, am I gonna go with? Am I going with The Flash?
You should.
Am I doing it? I think I gotta go Flash. I mean, I think, God, I don't want to have two superhero movies, but it's tough not to have Guardians next because Guardians is a guaranteed 300 million.
Yeah.
So I might have to go Guardians next. Here's where I'm gonna go. I think this movie's gonna go nuts. I think Barbie's gonna go bananas.
You're gonna put that over Little Mermaid.
Oh my God, Little Mermaid.
Oh, see,
so I shouldn't have said anything. I should have let you step in shit.
No, you're right. I'm scrolling through.
Sorry,
I think
Jeff.
then it's Flash.
Step and sit. Shit, we should.
Flash,
dang it.
Mermaid, then Guardians, then I mean, it could be
gotta
Barbie
throw your indie in there,
then,
don't you? You gotta throw your indie in there. Come on.
I was gonna say I think it's gonna I'm gonna go Barbie and Indy. I think Indy's gonna be big. So I'm going.
You think Barbie's going to be bigger than Indy?
Yes. I think Barbie is going to go banana. Banana. Okay. So I think that we're going
banana.
Oh my God. I haven't even said Mission Impossible.
See, this is tough. Mission
Impossible is not going to be top 4. It's not going to be top 4.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with my 5. I'm going to stick with my 5. I'm going to stick with my 5. So I'm going Flash, and then Mermaid, and then Guardians, and then Barbie, and then Indy. Spider-Verse on the outside, and what was the other one we just said on the outside? Dead Reckoning on the outside. I'll go with that's where I'm going.
7, 8.
So we're doing top 5s to clarify.
Let's do top 5s. Yeah, let's do top 5s.
Now, Jeff, as our guest, Pat rudely just went first. And that's why we should have let him step in shit, which we did not.
Well, I heroically went first because it's the toughest spot.
It is tough. It is tough because I'm still having trouble. I usually have my top 10 picked, but not until midnight on the Thursday before the summer season starts. I give myself until that time. So me putting it out here early, I might change it, but for now, after what we've talked about, obviously, like I already said it, if Little Mermaid is number 1 worldwide, but domestic, that's a different question. You know what? I'm going to still leave it there at number 1, just because it's a known quantity. And I just think it's going to work. And like I said, I'm at 53% hype right now, guys. I even hype myself up more talking to you about all this stuff. So, since I have seen The Flash and know what it's capable of, guys, I'm still going to drop that in the top 5. And I think that people outside listening to this will probably be like, you guys are crazy, right? You guys are nuts. The Flash can't do that. All the Ezra stuff. But we saw what Spider-Man did, No Way Home, with all these great surprises. And this is the DC film, honestly, that those fans have been so patiently waiting for all these years. Fun, dramatic, well-made film. I mean, this is the director of the It series, which I like both of those films. I thought they're really well done. And he just does a really good job juggling all of this stuff. He also said that he thinks that Ezra Miller is the best actor he's ever worked with. Guys, just to put this in perspective, for a director to go out on a limb saying that about this guy tells you a lot. And I'm here to tell you, Ezra is so freaking good in this, and it might make you mad because I don't know the guy personally. I don't know what he did. I don't know what's been overblown or what's real. I know that he hasn't been convicted of anything, right? He's not in jail. I
also think most people, Jeff, sorry not to interrupt you, but I think most people don't know what they did or what's going on. They just want to see a superhero movie. They just want to see Michael Keaton, huh? You're not on Twitter all day getting outraged. And listen, if there are victims in this, I feel bad for them. And God forbid, I'm not minimizing anything that this person did. I'm not.
Absolutely not.
But what I'm saying is just brass tacks facts. Most people don't follow that stuff. They don't.
Yeah,
they just want a good time at the movies.
And that's exactly, that's what this is. And Ezra is so good that if he didn't have that baggage, I think he would be in talks of joining the A-list because of his performances in this thing. He's incredible. It's comedy, it's drama. He has this hyper manic energy that you've already seen in these other films, but never sustained like he does here. He has a whole arc to what he does with these characters. And it's incredible, you guys. That's why I'm saying he upstages the great nutsy Michael Keaton, which is no small feat. Plus, when we talk about Easter eggs, when we talk about the end of the summer, when we get together and oil each other up over Labor Day, like we always do, right?
We got
we will be talking about these Flash Easter eggs because they're that incredible. So yeah, I'm putting it number 2, and I'm putting I'm still gonna put Guardians right under that at 3. And then I'm gonna go Indy 4 just because of that great release date. And God, it's gonna be so close. Like Barbie's right there. It's right there, and I want to, but I'm gonna give it to Tom Cruise. I'm gonna give that boost. I'm gonna have MI jump into that 5th spot.
Wow. Okay. Love it. Love it.
Wow.
Okay, well, here we go. So I'm gonna go Mermaid number 1.
Okay.
I just feel like we've all said, that's one of the biggest of that golden foursome, and I think it's gonna have the biggest domestic. Number 1. Number 2, I think Flash. I agree. I just think that this has so much going for it. And I think people are gonna really, I mean, it's getting so many great reviews. I mean, from yourself, Jeff, from Tom Cruise, from so many people. That's going to be number 2. I do think Guardians comes in number 3. As much as we're down on this movie, I do think people are going to rush to see it. I'm not as high on Barbie as you guys. I mean, I'd love it to be huge. I'd love Noah Baumbach. I love Greta Gerwig. I really want it to be big. I just don't know if it's going to make my top 5. I do think it's going to be a hit. But as much as I poo-poo Indy, you guys got me with that release date and the fact that, there's a ton of people who like those films and will go see any old crap. And it's James Mangold. I mean, I mean, bury the lead there. And I know people don't go see that movies because of the director, but this guy knows his way around a directing chair. So I'm going to put that in at number 4. And then number 5, I got to give it to my man, Tom. Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning.
Oh,
I want it to
have the same picks. We have the same picks.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Number 5, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Madness. That's right. That's number 5.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. It's going to make $5. That's what I thought. It's going to make
It's a great shirt. So
it's better than a movie. A shirt does not make a movie. A T-shirt is not a ticket, my friend.
So we're pretty much in lockstep on what we think the top 6 or so films are going to be.
No one said Elemental though.
If one jumps in, if one jumps in, Elemental, yes, absolutely,
yep. And well, the one none of us said, which also could jump in there, is Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But I think there's a clear top, 6 to 8 movies.
Can we each pick our one bomb though, too, or 2 bombs? Because that's part of the fun. We celebrate the good and the bad. I'm just going to jump in. I already said Haunted Mansion is going to be number 1, but number 2, guys, is one we haven't even mentioned yet because it's so bad. And in fact, at CinemaCon, they didn't even have a presence, not even a presence. And this film opens, guys. This opens in 3 weeks, and nobody said a word about this $80 million film from Ketchup Entertainment. It is Ben Affleck's Hypnotic with Robert Rodriguez directing it. Guys, no studio wanted to touch this thing.
What
They didn't
is
want to
this?
touch this thing. It is this film that Robert Rodriguez made at the Disillusion, what was it, Solstice Entertainment?
Yes, Solstice Studios.
Yes, remember they said, you know what, we have such a big hit with this Russell Crowe film that we're starting our own studio. We're gonna make this thing work. We're gonna spend $80 million on this Ben Affleck film. They didn't even make it till its release. They died. And Ketchup Entertainment, they've released a couple little things you've never heard of. I mean, even Lionsgate wouldn't touch this. Even Roadside Attractions wouldn't touch this thing. Guys, you know what? CinemaCon hypes up the summer films. That's what it's there for. That's what it does. Ketchup Entertainment didn't even put up a poster in the Hall of Posters where we saw Tiffany Haddish's straight-to-video poster. That's how bad Ketchup Entertainment is doing promoting this thing. Even all the theater owners in America don't even know this thing existed. It opens in 1, 2, 3 weeks, guys. The week after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, an $80 million film will get beat by Book Club: The Next Chapter. It'll get beat badly by those ladies.
Can we really quickly pour out some walking taco for Solstice Studios, which really did what Tenet couldn't do. Thank you. There we go.
Thank you, Jeff.
Did what Tenet couldn't do, which was keep the hard tops going with Unhinged. I mean, that movie will always have a place in history. When we eventually all write the book on the COVID box office years, that is going to be a huge chapter. Solstice Studios, its rise, its fall. It's sad to see this. Talk about a bonkers cast list. Ben Affleck, William Fichtner, Jackie Earle Haley, everybody. That is going to be such an interesting film. And yeah, I do agree. There's no promotion for it, so it'll completely bomb. But sad for Solstice Studios. We had such high hopes for you.
Yeah. The fact that Solstice Studios is stooped now to teaming up with Ketchup Entertainment, that is a sad spot.
They probably sold it for like $5, honestly. I mean, nobody wanted to touch this thing, guys. It's so sad. And it's just gonna get run over. Like it's gonna be bad. And I think maybe that's why they didn't show up at CinemaCon. They just didn't want to answer any questions. But then why release it, guys? Like it doesn't make any sense. But movies are back because this kind of shit happened all the time pre-pandemic.
All right, I'm going to jump in with a couple of bombs.
Go for it, sir.
Transformers, we've all agree. I mean, we all agree this is going to bomb. Listen, I'm going to throw out here a bomb in terms of what it's supposed to do versus what I do think it's going to do. And Jeff, you were passionate about this film, and I believe everything you say about it. But I think Oppenheimer is going to bomb. Ooh, I think it's going to be a relative bomb. What the expectations are. I think Barbie is going to trample it. It's going to open to its 40 or whatever it's going to open to. But I do think, like Clayton said, people want the fun at the box office. This feels to me like this should be opening in the fall. This is a fall Oscar play movie. I know that Nolan wants his late July slot, but this does not feel like a summer flick to me. And I think Oppenheimer is going to make way less than Dunkirk. It's going to make way less than Interstellar. I don't know if it's going to be in Tenet territory, but I think this is going to bomb. So Oppenheimer is my bomb of the summer.
Wow, a bomb, a movie about a bomb is going to bomb. Yep. How ironic that would be.
That is headlines, man.
Yeah, that's headlines.
Especially since everybody in Hollywood, at least everybody who's not in Barbie, is in Oppenheimer. So it's like if you're on one of the cast, it's like if you're not on either of those cast lists, do you even act, bro? Seriously.
Yeah.
You could be in Asteroid City. You could be in Asteroid City if you're not in one of those.
You got to be in one of those three films. Otherwise, you're not acting, bro.
Yeah. Then you're working for Ketchup Studios.
Yeah, shots fired at Jackie Earle Haley, but
Sorry,
he got his Oscar nom, so it's good.
And
Pat, do you have any more? I'm
Who's
sorry.
Freddy Krueger? He was Freddy Krueger too. That's cool.
Yeah.
So those are my two big ones.
Good. I like what you're doing with. I mean, I don't agree, but I mean, if it goes that way, Pat, you will have called that, and I respect that.
Yeah.
I love the balls on you for that, Pat. I love the balls, I gotta say. I don't think it's gonna do Bafa Bobo the way his other movies have done, but it'll be hard for me to call it a bomb because I do think the History Channel dads are gonna come out for it.
Yeah.
But still, great ballsy pick. For my bombs, I mean, I kind of agree with all you guys. You've really been picking some good turds here. But one that we kind of mentioned a little bit was the Lionsgate film that opens the 26th of May about my father, starring Sebastian Maniscalco and Robert De Niro. Also, Leslie Bibb, David Rashi, who Sledgehammer, come on.
Killing it on Succession.
He's great. I mean, he's a guy that's been working continuously. He is a great man, but I don't think he's going to do enough to save this movie. So I think that is going to be a bomb. That seems like a very easy call, though, because who's really going to go see that movie? But going down, I'm trying to see if there's anything that I feel like is going to really blow it.
Clayton, what do you feel about The Machine starring Bert Kreischer opening?
That's going to completely
May
tank,
26th.
but I'm just not even sure if that's coming out in theaters. It can't. It won't. So that feels to me, yes.
Clayton, do you think, though, that because of how great, and we all agreed on this, The War with Grandpa was, that Robert De Niro doesn't just have these people who want to see him in a comedy again, and they'll think maybe is this War with Grandpa 2? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
There's no grandson, I feel like, in this whole cast list, so people will know. I mean, yeah.
Anders Holm.
Anders Holm. Yeah. I mean,
it's about my father, War with Grandpa. It's like kind of the same thing, right? Hopefully.
I still think that it's probably going to do poorly. And just because I'm not seeing anything else that's really going to bomb, I kind of think Joyride might not do so well. Also, because there's only one movie that's called Joyride, and it's the horror film from the 2000s starring Steve Zahn, and who else was it? The late great Paul Walker.
Oh, Paul, Paul was it?
Yeah. So I just think that there's going to be a confusion. They're going to be like, wait, is this a re-release? What's going on here? So unfortunately, I hope it proves me wrong. But I think
John Dahl, the director, underrated director of the original Joyride. Guys went to Montana State University, same as me, guys. Montana State represent.
Whoa,
nice.
Wow.
Go mascot. What's the mascot?
Go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats.
Go Bobcats.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, John Dahl. Who would have thought?
I mean, I think someone owes you some free tickets to see this Joyride because the original was directed by someone who went to the same college as you. So there you go.
They showed it at CinemaCon, and I had other things going on. Sorry, sorry, Joyride. Sorry, Joyride.
All right, I think you nailed it then, Clayton. If this was a Jeff Bock pass at CinemaCon, then it does not bode well for the BO. So yeah, I mean, here is the takeaway that I'll throw out for this summer is it feels a lot better than it did last summer. Right off the bat, these weekends are stacked. And listen, you could poo-poo the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and we could poo-poo Blue Beetle, but these are August releases that have some name value. And compared to last August, it is night and day. And you look at this May, June, and July schedule, week after week, there are big movies every week. You've got your Oppenheimer Barbie weekends. You've got your Elemental versus Indiana Jones or Elemental versus The Flash. Like, we've got actually double blockbuster weekends this summer. So It is a true return to form. I am very excited going into the summer.
So I am too. One last thing, we've got it because we covered everything. We covered every single movie except for a movie that you just briefly mentioned, and we will just hit this really quickly. Book Club, the next chapter that opens the 12th of May. Does it make more than the original Book Club, which topped out at 68? Does it? Or does it get close but no cigar?
This is to me another Downton Abbey sequel situation where it just didn't quite live up because most of the audience died since the last one, guys. Sorry to be
That's
so
true,
dour,
possible.
but I think it's true. I think it's true. And you know, it's just that's life, man. That is life. And sometimes you don't get to see the sequel.
Wow.
Yeah,
There's
we
no
saw
next
that
chapter for a lot of people. Do you think it makes 50? Do you think it gets to 50?
44, I think is nice. 44.
44. Okay.
And I think 80 for Brady was this weird mind fuck for a lot of that audience who thought 80 for Brady was a Book Club 2 movie, and that movie topped out at 39 domestic. So listen, I think Book Club 2 is going to get to 50 because if 80 for Brady got to 39, The Real Deal should beat it by 10 million or so. But I agree. There's no way it gets to that 72. That first one was an event.
Incredible.
I think it could get to 50. I think it's good to top 80 for Brady.
I mean, that was the OG because there were so many pretenders to the throne that came out after it, like Palms, like you said, 80 for Brady. There was so many movies that jumped on the tailwind.
The Diane Keaton Switcheroo movie from last summer.
I just feel like Jane Fonda is just, she's overplayed her hand right now. She's been in too many films, you know, and sometimes that can work against you, like the Nick Cage dealio, you know. He overplayed his hand doing all those crappy movies, and so you release a good one in theaters and people are like, no, I'm sorry, man.
You have to make yourself special.
Sorry,
Leo,
we can't support you.
Leo makes himself special.
And Jane
the
Fonda,
Joker,
you know,
makes himself special. Yes. Jane Fonda, not making herself special.
Jane Fonda.
All right, guys.
She's working out in too many of these films.
I think we did it. This was an incredible summer preview, befitting what should be an incredible summer. I think we hit them all. I mean, and then of course there is the Please Don't Destroy film coming in August, which Clayton, is this a pop star situation?
Yeah. It's a pop star situation. Listen, love those guys. Yeah. I'm so glad that they have a new viral video stars on SNL, but sorry, it's not. I mean, people can see them on their phones. It's a pop star situation.
Yeah, and Boogeyman, which we didn't talk about, which they did screen at CinemaCon. Guys, again, you know how Stephen King is. It's hit and miss, and this is just one of those misses, you know? It just is, you know? Hey, horror's going to do what horror's going to do. And they didn't spend a lot on this, so it's not a huge bomb, but it's not going to do what Insidious The Red Door does, which will do some serious business.
Right. Yeah. All right, guys. So I think we've done it. It's going to be a great summer, and we will get together at the end of the summer, and we're going to oil up, and we're going to talk about all those Flash cameos.
Oh, guys, you guys are gonna. I mean, the oil will be flowing.
That's going to be a huge YouTube video when we film it.
Yeah. On Labor Day. Yeah, we should do it on Labor Day. You know, that Monday, do the summer wrap up. That would be pretty ideal, I think.
All right, so there you go. Meet us back here. We're going to be shirtless and oiled up, and we're going to be recapping the summer in a couple of months. It's going to be huge, biggest YouTube video of all time.
Oh God,
so
can't wait, guys.
All right, well, Jeff, thank you very much for being part of the summer movie preview. Where can Wannabe Boys, Wannabe Girls, Wannabe people follow your great work?
Guys, if you want to see what happened and want to know the inside story of what happened at CinemaCon this last week, just go to @ERC Box Office on Twitter. You'll find all the tweets. Most of them were done in the dark with a lot of people over my shoulders accusing me of taking pictures, which I did not. But these people, they're like, you took a picture. No, I didn't. They're like, let me see your phone. I'm like, no. Anyways, that's where you're going to find all the juicy stuff about CinemaCon. Go to @ERC Office on Twitter. And if you really want to hang out, go to CinemaCon next year. You guys should be there. We should all go to CinemaCon. It's good, clean fun.
I mean, as you were saying it, talking about it, I think that is a must. I think the BO boys have to go to CinemaCon.
Yes.
Next year.
Podcast from CinemaCon. It has to happen, guys. It's time.
Yes,
it's
I
time.
agree.
The time has come.
It's time.
Okay, it's done.
Time.
Next year at exactly this time, we will be doing this show, the summer preview show in Vegas. Boom.
Yes.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby. Yes.
Vegas,
yes,
baby.
we are also money and we don't even know it. So Clayton, obviously, listeners can email us at theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Listen, follow us at whatever's in the links below. It is nearing 2:00 in the morning Eastern time. So I think we have done everything you possibly could do. I don't think there's anything left to say, Clayton.
Except for until next time.
We'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it.
God, you guys totally nailed that shit.
We,
Jesus.
of course,
nice
nailed
work.
it.